Stafford Speedway is famous for modified racing, so famous in fact that there's a whole class named after Stafford's own modified class, the SK Modified. When you close the fenders, however, the racing gets even more high energy and high contact, and we'll see it firsthand tonight. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Stafford, Connecticut. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Zach Murtis is alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the Misfit Racing League Summer Touring Series for round number 2. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Spartamax, CB Designs. This is a long list. Stick with me here. Spartamax, CB Designs, Crow Sim Shots, Molly's Custom Silver, Hot Shots Photography, Podium Esports, and Whiplash Sim Cams. And Zach, boy, I really do love this place. Stafford Speedway, I think, is a very special racetrack on iRacing.com. It's one of the original short tracks. And thanks to Podium Esports and the Misfit Racing League, we have an opportunity to be here this evening. It is a pleasure for sure. Podium Esports not able to be here this evening. We're filling in, and we'll happily take the opportunity. This is a really cool racetrack, a really cool racing series as well. And as we prepare for 225 laps around this half mile, boy, Zach, we are in for a treat. Some 21 cars tuned in so far, checked in, ready to go for qualifying here in just about another minute or less. And Zach, I'm just glad you're here. I'm glad to be here. Stafford's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got back home today, actually, from a drive up to Pennsylvania. So nice to be talking about a track that's back up north where I was. But Stafford Speedway, always great. It's great to see the late model stock cars here. You don't usually see them running around a track like this, but it offers a lot of great differences to different tracks that, you know, late model stocks actually do run at, places like Hickory, Southern National. What else? You've got a lot of other short tracks really in the areas that these cars are prominent for when it comes to the Carolinas and the Virginia. So you don't see them usually running up here. Usually on the Stafford Speedway, it's the super late model. So to see these cars out here doing their thing, bouncing off the chip, going into the corners, it's so great to see them doing this car and track combo.
I think you'd probably see pro late models, but definitely that offset chassis for sure, as opposed to straight rail late model stocks. But this late model stock will actually give us some unique challenges this evening. I think the biggest being that you can really mash the gasser on this place, and in a modified tour type especially, you just can't do that. So definitely some interesting notes to make for this late model stock car. But let's take a look at the season point standings. Just one race complete. That was a month ago, nearly. Well, actually over. It was over a month ago, back on April 1st. And if I look back, we don't have a schedule graphic to go off of this evening for the broadcast. However, we can reference back to the season schedule that Kyle Adams so gracefully provided. It was Irwindale Outer. That's where it was. Irwindale Outer. For week number 1, or I guess month number 1 if you want, as these guys are running on the first Monday of each month throughout the summer of 2024. Anyways, Josh Parrish went to victory lane, car 55, with that first win on the season. Then Dylan Calabro, Justin Brooks, Jake Sylvia, and Tyler Mueller, our top 5. Zach, this is a very spread out top 10, but that top 4 is very, very close, and the bottom half of this top 10 also very, very close. In fact, even closer than that top 4. So we have some very interesting points battles. So when Podium picks back up here in the month of June, they're going to have, I think, a completely different points grid from what we have now, unless we get the exact same results somehow. That's not going to happen. We're going to see a whole lot of moving around, and it's still very early, only 7 races, but it's very important to maximize on each of these points now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the first few races that really set the tone for the rest of the championship. You don't want to put yourself in a hole before you even have the chance to dig yourself out of it. You've got Josh Parrish up here, only 4 points clear of Dylan Calabro, Justin Brooks. It's such a small points gap. And obviously, those top 3 positions are going to move around. Even those top 4 positions will move around throughout the majority of this race. So to see who's going to be sitting up at the top step of the podium tonight, or just really getting a grasp on the championship after 2 races, it's going to help them a lot, especially in a short run like this.
Do want to take a look at what else we have to offer here at Pit Stop TV. There's a lot of racing. I say a lot of racing. It's actually pretty spread out schedule for the rest of May. But we do have another broadcast this week, May 9th, Caffeine and Octane Linear Raceway down in Braselton, Georgia, right across the street from Road Atlanta. Love both of those racetracks. We get to go racing on that 3/8 mile, highly banked oval known as Lanier on Thursday evening with the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. And hey, one of the Misfit Productions drivers, Grant Brown, will be in that race. He's been really improving these last few weeks in that series, and should be a lot of fun to watch in that number 14 car on Thursday. Then the following week, they go National Tour racing with the 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour, as they take these same very late model stock cars out to North Wilkesboro Speedway, along with pro late models, or at least as close as you can get. It'll be detuned super late models with a weight penalty, and we're going to give that a shot before that late model stock race. And then Sunday, May 27th, actually, I should say Monday, May 27th. That's I forgot about that one. Monday, May 27th, we go racing with the Icon Cup Series on Memorial Day at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Zach, we've got qualifying on track. Sean Urich among one of the few drivers, actually, to get in his car and head to the track. Jake Sylvia really is one of the only drivers that's actually gotten in his car and gotten on the racetrack so far in qualifying. Nobody really opting to turn laps just yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of indications on iRacing as to where drivers, or when drivers will want to go out for a Q session, and I would actually believe, based on the time for the Q session, that they're running single car qualifying, if I'm not.
Yes, they are. Yep. And see, that's where this series is different from any others that we really ever cover. I totally forgot about this. So Jake Sylvia, the first to put a time down. Next on track, Alex Coffey in car number 7. These guys are doing that single car qualifying thing, and boy, this is so cool. I miss this kind of thing with different leagues I used to run. There's one that comes to mind where if David Levine is out there watching, he'll know. But I really miss this kind of thing, and I'm glad this series does this. This is old school NASCAR stuff as Alex Coffey comes to his second lap.
Yeah, NASCAR, I remember when they used to do stuff like that back in early 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, single car qualifying, 2 laps, straight to green. A lot of the short tracks around here still do stuff like that, especially with the late model stock. So it kind of fits in the line of actually what most of the late model stock car tracks around the Carolinas and the Virginias do, is Coffey turns a lap that's going to put him second on the board, but only 2 cars have turned a lap so far.
Ty Dennis next up on track. It looks like one other car went for a moment. Oh no, it was Coffey. See, we're getting used to things, but there's Dennis in car number 11, got a nice Monte Carlo front end. So as far as the throwback vibe here, Zach, he's definitely fitting into it. And that actually, that counted as lap 1. I think he'll get a chance still to do another lap. So this should be his first true flying lap right here.
You see here coming to the line, and it's really weird to see how these late model stocks are under the corner, because usually when it comes to Super, you want to enter a little bit higher, let the car kind of rotate through the corner, gravitate towards that concrete on the bottom, and then just put the power down. But with these late models, you can throw them in there. You can send it all the way in on the bottom, drive it up the racetrack, and pull a bit of a double apex, really, as Dennis goes 3rd quickest, 3/10 down on the top 2, and he's going to shut it down right here as the next car enters the track.
Deegan Smith going to begin his run. Car 15 coming to the line. Victory Fuel on the back end of that car. It's like Rockford Trucking. Is that what it says? Kuhn Rockford Trucking? Anyway. Car 15 going to wrap up lap number 1. Weather conditions in this qualifying session, pretty important. And we're sitting at about 67.5 degrees in the air. First lap for Smith. Oh, this might be a good one. He's not far off of Sylvia or Coffey. Track temp, 106 degrees. Deegan Smith, though, final couple of corners of his run will go in the helmet and take a look at his perspective. Coming out of turn 4 into the start-finish line. Can he beat that 19.27? No. Going to be a little off the mark.
Just barely. That should put him about P4, if I'm not mistaken. No, P3. P3 on the board, as see the 16 Ward on the track now. Next car coming through turn 2.
Trevor Ward, looks like not to be confused with the Ward Racing family out of the Virginias and Carolinas. But Trevor Ward going to wrap up lap number 1, slowest so far. It's a 5.82 for driver 16. Looks like these guys should squarely be in the 19s. I don't think we'll see any 18s this evening in this late model stock. So when we talk about lap times, Ward there, he ran a 58. He needs to be running about a 27 for reference. And lap 2, he picks up. It's a 52, but he'll only pick up to 4th position as they provisionally sit. Next up on track, right there in frame, Kyle Adams. And this particular driver, this gentleman, this fine lad himself, was the one who contacted us this afternoon, trying to see if we could cover this broadcast. And again, shout out to the guys at Podium Esports that would usually be covering this race, this series, but they were kind enough. Well, they had something come up, and they and the league were kind enough to fall back on us this evening. Kyle Adams been talking with him all afternoon. Let's see what he can do in car 24, though. Lap number 1 to the line, it's a 45. And again, he needs to be at a 27 to go for pole, but that's not a bad start. Turns 3 and 4 for car 24, right on that apron. And Zach, that'll be a conversation talking about lap times throughout the rest of this qualifying session as he runs a 47 on lap 2. Seems like lap 1 will be the money lap for these drivers, but that apron is going to be very, very important for these guys throughout not just qualifying, but also the race.
Yeah, the apron's always been a strong suit. You know, you don't want to run the full corner down there because it's just so flat. You can't carry as much speed as you can while utilizing the banking. So just kind of getting into the corner, setting the left side tires on it, allowing the car to pitch and rotate just a little bit and be able to get back on the gas, drive it straight up the corner. You hear that's a
51. It's not bad. 49.
It's not too bad. That's going to put him about 5th on the board. Lap 2 here. Got a little loose coming off of turn number 2 there. Almost tagged the wall, but as long as he hooks up 3 and 4, this should be a good lap right here.
Brad Carpenter, a big iRacing short track guy across the line. You see his Sarah windshield banner. We recognize that logo. He will pick up on lap 2, one of the few drivers to do so far. And he will jump up to a 45 in position 4 as they sit. Here's Justin Brooks, the mad lad himself behind a lot of these paint schemes you see on these short track vehicles these days. And you take a look at it, man, it is a piece of art. But Justin Brooks Designs, Justin Brooks, through turns 3 and 4, going to begin his flying lap.
See him here going in turn number 1. There's the quick cut off the wall. Look at that, top of the board.
Wow.
That was already on his first lap. That's a 17. That's the quickest we've seen so far. That's a full 10th quicker than Sylvia.
He can do a whole lot more than paint, apparently. Wow, and he's going to shut it down.
Yeah, it looks like he's pretty impressed with that lap. I don't think he wants to risk it anymore.
That'll bring another car, of course, on the racetrack. Car 74, Michael Weissman. Also out of that Patriot marketing stable, just like you saw on board the Kyle Adams machine. He chucks that car down to the apron to turn 1. You see that, Zach? He absolutely chucked the car. That was a Scandi flick.
That's what I'm saying. They got to throw these cars into the corner. They got to be able to find the speed anywhere they can. Run it down on that concrete. Bring it up. Drive it right off the corner. Bringing it back to the line. Looks like we're going to be sitting at a 19:32. That's going to put him 4th on the board. He's got one more lap to try and make it happen, though.
It's not bad. 32 will put him 4th, and you know, we said 4th was kind of maybe dismal earlier on in the session, but as more cars run laps, 4th will get better and better for sure. Weissman lap 2 at 29. That's going to be good for, well, still 4th, but that's a whole lot closer, and as other cars go out, that will keep him very, very close. In fact, 3/1000ths of a second off of Alex Coffey, so he should be wherever that 7 car is, more or less on the grid. Jake Grout now onto the racetrack. He's already begun lap number 1. We'll see where he can place his number 49 Ford Mustang Dark Horse.
Yeah, we see him taking that high line through 3 and 4 to gain as much momentum as he possibly can. Make sure those tires are all warmed up and then shooting it right to the bottom in turns 1 and 2. Grabs the apron just a little bit, drives it up off. This is looking like a good lap here, Andrew.
81 lap 1, but as you mentioned, he ran the top side in at least 3 and 4, probably 1 and 2 as well. That's a bobble, though. Anytime you bobble, that's going to burn a little bit of speed. He probably could have ran a 20-something, but it's a 33 for Jake Grout. That is 6th quick.
Looks like he used that first lap as a throwaway lap, try to build some momentum, but it looks like getting loose right there out of 4 really sacrificed it. And I will say right there, that is an absolutely amazing number concept.
That's really cool. And hey, it's always cool to see the word pit stop on a car. Pit stop TV. I like that. I like that, Chris Story. Across the stripe to begin lap number 2 and complete lap number 1. It's a 36 for him. And for the most part, these guys have been faster on lap 1 than 2. We'll see if Chris Story can pick up. Currently 7th out of the 11 cars that have qualified. Decent turn forward to the stripe he goes, and it's, oh, it's off. That was a 58.
My goodness.
I mean, solid lap 1, I think, and I think if you're in the 30s, you've got a decent start to your qualifying session, but you want to try and get down low 30s, maybe high 20s, especially when you see high 20s going to be top 5 so far, low 30s even. That's where you want to be. Dylan Calabro next up on track, car 71. And he will complete lap number 1. It's a 38 for him, first time through. 36, actually, it adjusts. That puts him just ahead of that 67 that was just on track. But the number 71 RI, I have to imagine he's probably out of Rhode Island. Out of turn number 4 to the start-finish line to complete his qualifying run. Oh, he picked up. It's a 3-0. A 1930. That'll be good for 5th, right behind Michael Wiseman. Next up on track, Zach, you mentioned you like the number concept. Well, there's no number on the roof of this machine. Tyler Mueller. Might have a wrong paint scheme. He's scored in the league as number 11, but he's got a 78 on the side of his car. Bucked up energy on the front. Lap number 1 underway.
Reminds me of when I first went out in my legend car. They told me I didn't have numbers on all the sides, so I had to go straight back to the garage. But can't do that on iRacing. Seems like he's ready to roll. Hooked up, 35 his first lap, just like you said. Rolling down the backstretch, hooking onto that apron. This might be a good lap here, coming back to the start-finish line. Little bobble, little wiggle. That's going to be a 35. Wow, that's actually 32, 35-2. Very, very close in lap times for both laps. Now, that's consistency right there.
And lap 2 will be the lap of record. Here we go, Justin Crow. Crow's Sim Shots, one of our partners of the series, number 86. And a Ford Mustang nose in that car as well. It looks good on the NASCAR Cup Series vehicle. It looks even better maybe on these late models. I really enjoy the way that Mustang nose looks on these late models, whether it's a super or a late model stock. Lap 1 for Crow, a 73. That is over a half second off of pole. Definitely needs to pick up on lap 2, but not a bad start. I say that actually, that was slowest. I will go ahead and say that was a bad start. Hopefully, though, lap 2 is quicker, and it is. It's a 1940. 19,409. That's good for 10th. So I don't know that every car after him is going to run below the top 10, but right now he's in the top 10. Dylan Delaney, car number 88, next up on track. And maybe
on the apron right there.
Maybe the only better looking nose for these late models than the Dark Horse is that Dodge Charger. It's a 19,478 lap 1. That will put him in the 13th spot. And it's registering as his 3rd lap, but he's got one more lap to go. So we'll see what car number 88 can do down here on the back end of the speedway. You see RKM.
Warm-up lap.
Well, and I think it was them pacing around a little bit, but you see RKM on the quarter panels. Unfortunately, Delaney will go no faster. He will sit with that 47 from lap 1, which then leaves Bradley Stefane to go onto the racetrack next. And hey, you're a Jeff Gordon fan. You'll like this car. It's not exactly a Gordon paint scheme, but flames are nice.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I'm more accustomed to seeing the flames on the DuPont car from the mid-2000s, late 2000s. I mean, I think that design has always been iconic in a way, as we see a 1946 on the board for the 89 car, and I've never been a big fan of flames as we see the hands inside this race car.
And he'll shut it down.
Like, yeah, not going to risk it, especially after a big bobble off the corner.
He'll bring it down to the safety of pit lane. That'll move Jacob Alexander onto the racetrack in car number 90. And, oh, he's driving a Winnebago. If anybody finishes behind the Winnebago, you're doing something wrong.
This car is supposed to
That's
be
what that is, right?
Slick. Yeah, I would assume so. That is the Winnebago logo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I should know. My dad works on campers.
I got to think that's a Winnebago. That is... That's fun.
Well, the Winnebago is going to give you a 1970 for the first lap. Big bobble out of turn number 2. It doesn't look like he may go any faster with this lap, to be perfectly honest.
So 19,704 lap 1. Oh, graphics just froze up for a moment. That's a new one. Haven't had that in a while. But still watching Alexander. And next up on track, as we search for him, we car 97. That's going to be Sean Urich. Might be flying blind without graphics for a moment. Seems like ATVO froze up, but that's okay. We can work through it. This is Urich on track in car 97, Zach, and we've had a lot of very, very unique paint schemes. This is one of the brightest ones. It's going to be hard to miss that 97 car on track.
Absolutely. It's always hard to miss a bright purple or pink car when they're on the racetrack, and if you do find yourself missing such a scheme like this, I don't know what you're looking at. You must have showed up to the racetrack either blind, sunglasses on, something, not quite sure. But yeah, I don't know how you could miss bright purple on these race cars.
We have one more car that'll be heading to the track, I believe. Anyways, we'll be able to confirm once graphics come back up for us. This is a new one. I haven't had this happen in some time. But ATVO, as great as a program as it is, unfortunately has its moments. It actually might be it for qualifying. Which, Zach, means that we can kind of sit back a little bit and get ready for racing. 225 laps, that's a big distance for sure. If you're a race car driver, how do you approach a race going into 225 laps of racing, not knowing what's coming next?
Just keeping the mindset of, I'm going to go into this race and I'm going to win. I'm going to be able to walk into this event, know I'm going to be competitive, know I'm going to be able to win, and just overall keeping that mindset up. And as long as I think you've got that in the back of your head, I think you're going to do just fine. Big thing is going to be avoid the wrecks. Stay out of everything like that. Just don't put yourself in a position where you're going to be, well, don't put yourself in the spot where you may complain, oh, I didn't want to get involved in this wreck, it wasn't my fault. If you don't want to get involved, don't put yourself in that position. Try to put yourself in a position where you can be avoiding it, going around it, or just finding a way to overall really stay out of trouble.
Well, Justin Brooks will lead us to the green when we go racing in car 33. Jake Sylvia qualifies second, and we will have cars headed to the grid here in just a moment. As I think we're gonna have a surprise heat race. I didn't realize this was. See, we're learning a little bit on the fly here, Zach, and that is a great part of iRacing events. Sometimes you learn a little bit on the fly. That's okay. We are going to have a different lineup, it looks like. And Zach, I see you finally found the session. That's a good thing as well. Do you have any bets, though? Just based on that qualifying session, do you have any bets going into this race?
I bet I will be pleasantly surprised by the racing product tonight. As like you said, we've never covered this league before. We have no idea really what to expect. We've only seen the qualifying session so far.
But we have seen some of these drivers in other leagues.
We have. Drivers like Grant Brown. We've seen him over in the Sarah Super Series. So we know what most of these drivers are capable of, but we don't know how they all race together. So I think it's going to be the matter of just doing whatever you can to do the best to your ability to learn how everyone's going to be around each other. And I think it's pretty safe to say that it's easy to know that Justin Brooks is going to be leading us to green, because I did not actually know he's got a 10,000 I rating, Andrew.
That's insane,
it'd be
really?
pretty hard pressed not to think that he would be on the pole.
That's, wow, that is insane. Well, Deegan Smith will lead us to the green here in our first racing of the evening. We'll take a look at our CC's Business starting grid. Deegan Smith going to lead us, as mentioned, to the first green flag of the night. Jake Grout in second spot. Starting from third place, how about Sean Urich in the 97 car? That one that's hard to miss. Tyler Mueller, also hard to miss with that bright green side of the greenhouse. Will roll off from the fourth spot. Starting fifth and sixth, that's Chris Story and Justin Crow. 7th and 8th, you'll find Brad Carpenter and Kyle Adams. 9th and 10th, you'll find Bradley Stefane and Dylan Delaney in the 89 and 88. Back into the field here, Zach. A few other drivers certainly worth mentioning. Trevor Ward comes to mind. Also the guy at the very back of the field, I think, will be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, Ty Dennis rolling off at the 12th. Jacob Alexander, Brent McCoy waiting on a few other cars to take to the grid right now. and we should only actually have 2 more cars actually. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Grant Brown was actually not permitted to turn a qualifying lap.
Yeah, he was a late entry, so he's going to, well, he'll have to run from the back of this heat race. I think this heat race is going to set probably, well, I don't see Sylvia. I wonder if they locked in the top 2 from qualifying and the rest of these guys will have to race for their spots. Kind of like NASCAR Daytona stuff.
Okay. So here's how it's all set up. So the top 5 have locked in from qualifying. So Justin Brooks, Jake Sylvia, Alex Coffey, Michael Weissman, and Dylan Calabro are all locked in to the feature event tonight. The top 7 from this 10-lap heat will move on into the feature. And then we were supposed to run a second heat, but that has been skipped based on the car count tonight. And then we will run 1 consolation race to take the winner of the consi into the feature race, which would give us a grand total of 13 cars starting tonight's main event.
I think that's going to be different. I think it'll be 21. Or 20. So, or I think it'll actually be 20, right? So, yeah, the top 5, you would have 2 heats, which would be 7 drivers each. It's still going to take the same amount of drivers that it would have taken from the heats. That'll be 14 then. It'll run that consolation race for a 2-car race. Unfortunately, 1 driver is going home, it sounds like. It's unfortunate that it's just 1 driver, but I believe, if my math is correct, because we have 16 racing, we have the top 5 that are in. We have to get a 20-car field, so 15 more would get in. We have 16 in our heat race. Well, we're going to learn a whole lot as we get ready to go racing, but we can tell you weather conditions are right about the same. Track temp, though, has come up just a little bit, Zach, and as these guys warm their tires up, that initial starting heat going to be very important.
Absolutely, and it's looking like the 17 and the 10 are not here in for the heat, so actually, Andrew, we might not be sending anybody home tonight.
If they're out of the session, I think it'll advance. If not, we're going to learn. We'll find out. Whiplash SimCam's race details, though, 225-lap race when we get there. This will be a 10-lap heat race. Open setups, 2 change sets of tires for the main race. Up to 3 green-white checkers available. Caution laps will count. This is all stuff for the main event. I believe that'll also carry on into this heat race. Deegan Smith going to lead us to the green. We'll have, well, I guess 14 cars now. From Smith back to Grant Brown. And waiting on car 15 to give us the green flag. Barney's got it high in the air. The first green flag of the night is out.
Oh, we've already got cars in the wall behind.
Everybody okay, though, through turns 1 and 2. Sideways is Deegan Smith. Jake Grout sideways, too. Everybody's just trying to hang on lap 1, getting down to that bottom side. Everybody wants the apron. Big hit. That is Justin Crow on the outside wall. Hard. Caution is out.
That's a massive hit for Justin Crow. It looks like he's going to immediately tow that car straight to the pit lane. You saw that car take a hard right out of the right side of your screen as we were focusing on the leaders fight. And there you see Deegan Smith getting loose. And then here's the fight.
Oh, he went down to block Kyle Adams, and Adams was there. The car gets a piece. That was the 10, I believe. Or rather the 11 of Ty Dennis.
We've got a couple of cars heading to pit road to fix some damage. As we take one more look at it, there you see, yeah, that just looks like a late block and hard on the brakes. That's a very huge overcorrect as well to just go straight to the wall like that.
These cars have a lot of grip, and you know that, I know that. I'm sure a lot of the viewers do as well. These cars have a lot of grip. When you turn the wheel, the car is going to go. So when he corrects back to the right to get off the nose of the 24, the car went. And
there you saw the snap.
Yeah. Looks like Adams will be going to the rear of the field. I think that's going to count against Adams as far as the cause of the incident. So he will go to the rear. Although I think that was kind of a racing incident, heads-up stuff, where one driver was trying to go down, one driver was trying to protect, and unfortunately, one driver ended up in the wall. The other is now at the rear end of the field. You mentioned a couple of cars pitting, one of them being Ty Dennis in the number 11, Justin Crow, also in the pit lane. He, of course, with a lot of damage.
It's just unfortunate circumstances for both those drivers. It's hard to see having to go to the pit lane like this, especially in the heat race. You didn't even complete the first lap, and now you're sitting here thinking about, well, now I got to run the consi, but at the same time, I don't think they're all too worried about it because I think everybody's going to be making the feature here tonight.
Being reminded there's some lightning in the area here where I'm at, and for a lot of you drivers, I know there's some Midwest drivers in the field. Any of you guys watching, stay safe this evening. There's a lot of severe weather across the United States, and especially over in the Midwest, especially in the Great Plains. There's some scary stuff out there. So if you're in Oklahoma, Texas, Nebraska, Kansas, and anywhere from there east,
pretty much Tornado Alley.
Yeah, well, anywhere from there east. We've even had some severe weather in Tennessee. If you are anywhere that there's lightning, rain, thunder, stay safe, be prepared. Maybe watch some local news or Ryan Hall y'all on YouTube. Otherwise, green flag. We're into the back half now of Heat 1.
Yeah, and hey, if you don't want to watch the news, watch some Pit Stop TV.
Well, yes, although cars are around to the back and caution's out again. This might prompt a green-white checkered in our heat race. I will say, yes, we're happy to have you watching along, but definitely keep a pulse on what's going on with the weather around you. Radar Omega is a great app to use. Just stay safe out there. Rather you be safe than watch Pit Stop TV, I will say, but a nice little incident here. This is Jake Grout and Jacob Alexander back in the field. Grout jammed on the brakes. And
he sent him straight up the racetrack.
Yeah, that's a little confusing, honestly.
Now, I hate to say it, Andrew, but
he got scared.
The infield of Stafford Speedway is not a campground. I don't see any Winnebagos out there. I see them on the outside of the track, but not the inside.
I saw one on the inside. That is some prime parking that they got. Yeah, Grout just got scared by Grant Brown, and maybe we can go back and get another look a little further back at what happened with Grant Brown in the 14 car. So he's in the back end of the 89 of Stafford, and he checked up for the 31 of Carpenter. It was just chain reaction. Grout got scared, jammed on the brakes, and that really got that car upset. He went straight up the racetrack and tried to pull it back down, but here we go. A quickie yellow, and we're back green, 2 laps to go in the heat. Right away, Deegan Smith with the jump, but I think we're going to get down to turn 3 this time. Sean Urich in the 97 outside. Here we go. Mueller up the inside for second.
Yeah, side by side still for second, but here they go. White flag in the air for the heat race, Andrew. One more time around.
And the fun thing is, that is the first green flag lap we've completed in this heat race. So these guys are all into the unknown on the final lap of the heat. They're all mixing it up in the back, but leading us back around into turn 3 and 4, Deegan Smith around what would be the transfer is Dylan Delaney across the stripe. Smith wins the heat, and everybody else just files in.
Yeah, it turns the fastest lap of the race on the last lap of the race, but at the same time, that was pretty much the only lap he had to get a clean lap in.
And we will go straight to our feature event. It's going to skip that consolation race. Oh, and it might be saving Ed Papineau. I'm not sure. We'll find out. But Brett McCoy, Ed Papineau not making it into that heat race. It lists them on the entry blank for us, but I don't know if they're actually going to be with us this evening. But Zach, let's go ahead and run through our CC's business starting grid this evening. Pole position, he was so fast in qualifying, but he's not starting there. Justin Brooks will not lead us to the green. He's actually going to start at the back end of a 12-car invert. So on pole, Dylan Delaney in that number 88 car. He was just in that transfer position, or what would have been that transfer spot in 7th if there were 2 full heats. How lucky is that? He's going to be starting from first position now. Bradley Stafford will roll off from second spot. Starting 3rd and 4th, Brad Carpenter and Chris Story in car number 67. 5th and 6th, you'll find Sean Urich and Tyler Mueller. Row number 4, Deegan Smith, Dylan Calabro, and to round out your top 10, Michael Weisman and Alex Coffey.
And then Jake Sylvia and Justin Brooks, you're supposed to be front row. 2 fast qualifiers not starting up there. Grant Brown, Jake Grout right behind them in the 13th and 14th position. That's your 7th row. 8th row on the grid tonight, Trevor Ward, Jacob Alexander. 15th and 16th here tonight. Kyle Adams, Ty Dennis, 17th and 18th, and then rounding out really the rest of the field, considering we are short 2 drivers, Justin Crow and Brent McCoy, who is not here at the moment, and then Ed Papineau is the last driver on the grid starting 21st, but again, not here. So 19 cars lined up, ready to roll here at Stafford Motor Speedway. Andrew, we've got one heck of a race on show here tonight. I'm eager to see those fast cars tear their way through the invert.
Whiplash SimCam's race details, 225 lap race, open setup, 2 change sets in the pit lane. They might need it. It's a long race here at Stafford this evening. Up to 3 green-white checkers if needed. We nearly saw one used there in the heat race, and caution laps will count. The field has been turned over to the hands of Dylan Delaney, waiting to get back to the restart zone. Green flag for the first time this evening, 2nd time of the season.
Big smash him up in turn number 1. That's our pole sitter, supposed to be pole sitter, Justin Brooks.
Along with that 15 car, Deegan Smith, who led us to the green in the heat race.
That is some heavy damage on the front end of that 15 car. Immediately going into turn 1, we see these drivers tearing it up. Here's the initial start of the race.
Deegan Smith starting 7th. Watch him with the chrome numbers. Oh, and he's going to get the back of the 97.
We've got 4 or 5 cars involved in that one.
It's difficult. There's a lot of racetracks you go to with this particular car where you don't really have to brake. This is a track where you have to brake, so it's a bit different. 97
of Sean Eric taking the blame for that caution and
really
getting sent to the rear. We see, actually, we've got a few cars hitting the pit road right now, trying to fix some damage, I would assume.
Let's see what Uric saw on this start. On board with car 97. The green is right behind Brad Carpenter, and he's going to check up. I mean, props to him, I guess, being the nice guy and taking blame. He was checking up for cars ahead. Hey, if he wants to.
That is his race. It's his choice. Obviously, there's a lot of determining factors, and I've always had a problem with leagues that do drivers needing to take blame for cautions just because there are so many determining factors that if you don't have a live race control watching over, the wrong call can very easily be made. But if the driver is going to speak up, speak his mind, and say that he's going to take blame for the incident, then more power to them.
Ty Dennis in the pit lane, taking service.
Sight.
Unfortunately, yeah. There's Grant Brown into the pits as well, and Jake Grout going to follow. Trevor Ward was in the pit lane briefly. He's back on the racetrack. Grant Brown, though, just hopped out of the car for a second. He's back in, and I don't know if he was checking damage or what was going on there for car 14. Again, I'm surprised. I really am surprised that the 97 of Uric claimed that yellow. I can tell you,
exiting the pit lane now.
And this is not at all to stir any kind of pot, but if I got hit from behind, I wouldn't be claiming it.
I'm right there with you, to be perfectly honest. As a driver who's been in incidents like that before, it's hard to really say that you were the one at fault, especially if you were the one getting hit. I mean, even if you're driving on the road, if the insurance sees that you got hit,
that's a little too close to home. Got rear-ended in Charlotte a few months ago.
My bad, Andrew. Well, how about we skip the formalities and we see this pace car pull off and we get back to some green flag racing.
Dylan Delaney front row, Bradley Stefan on his outside, just like the start of the race. Let's give it another shot. Lap 6, green flag. Cars blocking in the back, but our front of the field gets through turns 1 and 2 nicely. Here comes a 3 wide. Mueller with the big switch to the inside.
That's a big crossover. Contact.
Chris Story going to go around in front of the field. Cars up in the air. Calamity in 3 and 4. It's the second big one, Zach.
Do we call it over-aggression, or do we call it a little bit of hokey-pokey?
Well, I'm going to call that from Tyler Mueller's perspective, is a hell of a corner to get through turns 1 and 2 like that. Watch him here cut down the racetrack. What a slice. And he's going to be on the inside here of Story and Stefane. I don't know that Stefane got the news, and Story went into the corner. Now, Chris might have run up the track a little bit, but that's just racing. I can't fault Tyler for being there, and he makes no contact with these guys.
He got a very, very straight exit coming off of turn number 2, and then there's the initial contact, the 67 going around, and
Chris just got deep. Hate that for everybody behind it that stacks up, but Chris just got in there deep and wiped Stefane out, and that's a crash.
Not too much you can really do on that, and
Carpenter's perspective.
He had nowhere to go and just gets jacked up in the air. Hit a second time by your good old friendly Winnebago, but gets it back rolling.
He's your new favorite driver, isn't he?
Maybe just a wee bit.
Mr. Winnebago. Now, he's got the 90 on his car. He scored his car at 251, but we know him. We're driving a Winnebago, and yeah, just clips the side of Carpenter there in the back end of the crash. And, well, kind of resets us once again, Zach. 19 cars, and I think it's easier now to count the cars that have not been involved in one of these first couple of incidents to get the race going.
Absolutely. I can't remember the last time we had a race where more cars had been involved. What's the word I'm looking for?
The percentage.
I seem to be going on a bit of a ramble here.
The percentage of cars being involved?
Yes. That's what I mean.
I can think of one. It wasn't on Pit Stop TV. It was on our affiliate Pit Road TV. Southeast Super Trucks at Lonesome Pine. We had a 5-car race. I believe 4 of them involved in an incident.
Well, Andrew, we've got 2 hours to get this race in.
Oh, don't even say it. Coming to the green, Dylan Delaney. He's going to bring us back, and that's Tyler Mueller on the outside. Bucked up energy, going to try and get bucked up on this restart once again. Stefane from the second row falling back, and big switch from the 78. Going to get to the inside of the 88? No. Mueller will not get there, and
his favorite move, though.
Oh, man, he is there alongside now to complete lap 1 off the restart.
Side by side, rolling through 1 and 2. Calibro right behind. Mueller's going to get the nose out in front, going down the back straightaway, but Delaney with the run.
And Delaney blinked there. Oh,
he's really wiggling. He's going to allow Calibro to get in there. It's the wall. Leader tags in as well. Calibro sneaks on through. Stefane right behind. Sylvia, Weisman, Crow, Uric, Adams, and Brown, who has just moved past Kyle Adams. That's the top 10 so far.
Right behind him, Jake Sylvia going to nab the back end of the 89 car. Spinning in the back is the 24 of Adams. Caution. Mueller was fastest after taking the race lead there. Adams going to pick up a few marbles in the right front of that car. Got a couple laps in. And looks like Adams will be on the back end here of Grant Brown into the corner, with the 67 of Story right behind, and they just stack up. It's another instance, Zach, where nobody really did anything wrong. They just crashed.
It happens. That's just how racing goes sometimes. It looks like
it doesn't help.
Story is going to take blame for the caution.
It doesn't help that Grant blinked out on the backstretch.
It does not. And we've got multiple cars heading down pit road, trying to get some damage fixed. I would assume we've got 2 cars out of the race at the moment. As we ride on board here with Story, we've got Mr. Winnebago himself, Jacob Alexander, 6 laps down, and Ty Dennis still in the pit lane, 2 laps down. Yeah, not really much Chris could do there. I'm surprised he is taking blame for the incident.
But you know what? He did tap the car around that actually spun. So that makes a little more sense for sure for Chris Story. He takes blame. Jacob Alexander, you mentioned in the pit lane in car number 90. Ty Dennis is now a lap down in that 11 car. He took significant repairs, but you know what? That car looks a whole lot better for it. Still a lot of right front damage, but it could be a whole lot worse. I mean, you see other cars ahead of him that have more damage, so if he just outlasts those guys and gets a lap back on one of these cautions, he'll be back in this race and I think move back through the field.
I'd like to go ask Mr. Winnebago himself, Jacob Alexander, if he's got an outdoor stove to pull out for that camper of his. We can do a pit lane barbecue, maybe some pit lane poultry. Want
to grab him real quick?
Hey, if you'd like to.
Well, here he is.
Mr. Winnebago himself, Jacob Alexander. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm currently sitting in the pits. I'm wrecked out. Back end had a little too much shit in the back of it, so.
Well, this race hasn't exactly been going in your favor too far tonight. You've had quite a few incidents, and hopefully we can get that Winnebago back out there. I'm hoping, though, if you're still stuck in the pit lane, we might be able to get some pit lane barbecue on that camper of yours.
Yeah, I mean, the grill's behind the pit row. I mean, told them to start firing up the coals and bring out the bratwurst, so might as well make something out of it.
Hey, you love to see it. Well, these drivers are about to get back green. Hopefully we'll see you back out there to turn some more green flag laps. You keep on trying to get that car fixed for us.
All right, well, thank you guys.
Absolutely. Jacob Alexander. As the car's right back into the restart zone, pace car's off. Here we go, Andrew.
Move him back up, and we will go back green flag racing. Down to turn one we go. Big restart from Mueller. Side by side now for second. That's Calibro up top. And how about the 88 of Delaney? He's going to have a car to the inside. That's the one of Sylvia finally punching through.
Yeah, Delaney was having some connectivity issues right there on the restart. Might have been affecting his pace overall. As you see a couple of cars tagging the wall on the front straightaway.
Justin Crowe coming back to the field. Zach, we learned that after his crash, or I guess during his crash, to help cause his crash in that heat race, as soon as he got knocked sideways, he had some frame rate issues, and that's why he overcorrected so bad. Not only did the car just take off when he steered into the spin, he had frame rate issues, the PC lagged, and he just went up the racetrack.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense, because that seemed like a huge overcorrect, and I would assume that something like that wouldn't exactly be the most common out of anybody on the sim. We've seen a few drivers that have had incidents like that before, but just not expected as Delaney hits the wall again. That's 2 laps in a row. That 88 has slammed the outside wall coming off of turn number 4, and you can see he is starting to really, really struggle. Might have some damage on that car.
Might?
Oh, spinners, turn 2.
Alex Coffey, Chris Story, it looks like, involved. And they're still disagreeing over space.
Might be trying to just get their lineup sorted. You see Story going right in front of Coffey. Lineup looks good. Let's take a look here. See Coffey hit the wall coming off of turn number 4, and then going into 1 and 2. Just really tight. Story on the bottom, and Coffey looks like he cut down.
That's just a little more racing. I mean, I hate to chalk so many incidents up to something so simple, but you have to, I think. When you have an incident like this back-to-back, nobody is doing anything particularly wrong. Watch here, Coffey stuck in the middle. He just kind of tries to go down as Story's coming up out of the corner. Coffey's trying to give room to the car on his outside. That's so tough, Zach, and that's the product you get with this car in particular, though. Everybody's so close in speed, so close in the racetrack. It's really difficult to race that closely and not have that happen.
Absolutely, you'll find that on the short tracks. As one particular NASCAR driver would put it, that's just short track racing.
Right on a green flag, 200 laps to go now from Stafford. Calibro outside of row 1. Sylvia going to move on through and put the number 1 in to position number 2. Yeah, he's got that pass made. Driver tees on the side of that car. Here comes Justin Crowe. Really, we're just waiting on... oh, man, Calibro got the wall hard. We're really just waiting on that 33 to get up here now.
Yeah, Justin Crowe still waiting to get up here, and I really thought we would have seen him up here sooner, but being involved in 2 of the cautions so far has really hindered his pace, and now we can see he's fighting, trying to get back up there, still side by side with Delaney, who's on his outside. Look at those hands. You'll love to see the onboard shots. All clear, Delaney, free and clear, trying to get to the outside here of Dylan Smith.
That's Sean Urich
Or
right
Deacon
ahead.
Smith, excuse me. Thinking of other leagues that we broadcast here on Misfit TV.
Thought about shipping it up the inside, but let's Deacon Smith do the work for him. And Smith should get clear this time on the backstretch. Maybe not. He'll try to here in turn 3, and he will now get clear of that Urich machine. And Sean Urich going to try and put up a fight, but Justin Brooks going to get him cleared. So now position number 8 for the 33 car as he marches back through this field. Whoa!
Oh, big snap right there.
One
That's
car in the
caught
wall.
in the
That
wall.
is Deacon Smith, the 15.
No
We're
caution,
just talking
going
about
very,
him.
very slow down the back straightaway. Look at that right front.
He's junk.
He's going to have a problem going straight to the pit lane.
That car's a mess. That's so unfortunate. He was a lot of fun to watch in the heat. A lot of fun to watch here in the feature. Yeah, that
Look
car's
at
that car's done.
Well, Smith does not sound too happy on the radio chatter right now, so definitely very displeased with that incident at the moment.
I get it for sure. Tyler Mueller out front, Jake Sylvia, Grant Brown, now your top 3. Calibro falls into 4th. Justin Crowe sinks back to the 5th position, and Justin Brooks now getting clear of the 70, or rather the 74 of Weissman. He's scored in the session as car 45, but on the ticker and on the car as car 74. Weissman falls back now behind Urich, but Justin Brooks into position 6, Zach, and he was fastest in qualifying for a reason. He's starting to march back through.
Yeah, up to P6, and he is hunting these leaders down. You can see just how close he is to Crow right in front of him. Pulling a little bit of time back in the corners, didn't exactly have the best exit right there. But it seems like he's still closing that gap ever so slightly. This is one thing you'll see now. The drivers were utilizing that apron in qualifying. Now they're staying off of it. He's going to burn these tires up way, way faster, and with only 2 sets of 225 laps, that's only a margin of about 112 laps per set of tires.
Well, they have 2 change sets, I believe, right?
Right. So
cut that 225 into thirds instead, and that's going to be something around 75, 80 laps.
You got it right on the nose. You said it the second my calculator pulled up the results. So are you as fast as the calculator?
Apparently. As long as I'm smarter than the 5th grader, I'll take it. But the field now spread out across just 6 seconds, first to last, not counting the lap cars of Ty Dennis and Jacob Alexander. You see Alexander here on the shot following Bradley Stefane. Ty Dennis, meanwhile, is a little further back in that number 11 car, and it sounds like maybe the damage is a little worse than we thought under that last yellow.
Yeah, he's not been able to find that pace to get back up there. That right front still looks like it's towed out. And we see Justin Brooks has moved past the 86 Pro and now is setting his sights on Calibro. Right on the back bumper of Sylvia, you've got Grant Brown looking to that inside.
Oh, Grant was nearly there. Nearly there in turns 1 and 2. Going to try it again down here in 3 and 4. And, you know, we talk about the weather throughout the Midwest, even the South here, the Mid-Atlantic even. With so many drivers out of the Midwest and across that portion of the Mid-South, we're going to have some connection issues. Grant Brown, he had blinks earlier. He ships up the inside of Jake Sylvia here and has no issue for the time being, but you saw that Midwest tag. So as he passes for second, consider that. If he has any more blinks, as Sylvia now gets put back up on the top side by Calibro. What a move.
This is some good racing now that we've gotten all these cautions out of the way. Knock on wood. We've been having some great racing. As we see one car right there, that's the 71 of Calibro get really loose off of turn 2, and that's going to open the door for Justin Brooks to take 4th away. Calibro looking to cross him over. He's looking, falls back in line, thinks better of the move. And that's going to allow Brooks to move 1 spot closer, taking that lead away.
Side by side towards the back of the field. Kyle Adams and Alex Coffey in the 7 going to move by. He'll take 13th position. And the number 7, who we saw involved in an incident not so long ago, going to be able to start to try, at least, to climb back through. The first thing you have to do, Zach, ready for it? Put one foot in front of the other.
Oh my goodness. Soon you'll be walking across the floor.
Mueller out front. He leads now after 43 laps are complete. Your top 5 just about all in one shot. That's the way you want it in short track racing. A battle for third starting to spark up. Sylvia and Brooks, they would have been your front row based on qualifying. But of course, through the 12-car invert got sent to the back end, or well, I guess the middle of the field, and here they are battling now for the third spot.
I think Justin Brooks having a little bit better fairing with that nose not pushed in like the one car is. Calibro now looks to the inside, side by side off the corner, takes the spot away, gets clear. Calibro to third, or excuse me, Calibro to fourth. Sylvia down to fifth, and it looks like Crow is poking his nose in there, trying to find a way to get up there. Tags the wall a little bit off the floor. But with these leaders fighting, it's just going to allow Justin Brooks to close in further and further as Mueller and Brown still fight it out for that top spot.
This run for Brooks has to be studied, I feel like. He has passed a ton of cars in this green flag run alone. I don't recall exactly what position he restarted in, but he was as low as 15th at one point, now up into the third position and keeps climbing through this race. Fastest qualifier, he's climbing through for a reason, but you watch here the battle for the race lead. Tyler Mueller leading, Grant Brown second. You saw another blink out of that 14 car.
Yeah, a few drivers tonight really having some connectivity issues, and I think Grant Brown has started to calm down, realize he needs to take it easier. As I say that, he goes all the way onto the apron, going into the corner. So he's really seeming like he's pushing that car a little bit harder, seeing if he can take that spot away early on, and then maybe try to back the field up with the lead. It's a trick that a lot of these late model drivers like to do. They like to get out in front. Once they know they have the position, they try to stack the field up so they can save their tires a little better. You saw Grant Brown really throw that car hard into the corner.
Well, Zach, there's some weather heading your way. Just got a flood advisory for the county over. Again, everybody stay safe. You're watching this broadcast, there's a decent chance you have weather happening somewhere around you. And it's worth at least checking out as we work lap 50 of 225. We're coming up now to where these guys could use a set of tires and be relatively on pace here, Zach, but you don't want to have to use them unless you have to. At the same time, we often see in these late model races, whether it's supers or late model stocks, the longer you run a set of tires, the better they tend to get, up to about 100 laps or so. So do you really want to take a set of tires at any point too late as Brown gets put up the racetrack by Brooks?
Personally, at the latest, I would take those tires maybe around 185, 190.
That feels a little late.
It's late, yes, but it gives you that ability to have the fresh tires in case there's a late race yellow, and it also gives you that sense of, I haven't been on the tires for the longest time, so they won't be incredibly worn by the end of the race. Gives you that little bit of security, especially if someone decides they want to save a set of tires for a green white checker, and then all of a sudden they're marching their way through the field.
And of course, we're not going to see these guys pit under green, so this really only comes into play if we get cautions.
That is true. So plan for the long run, but keep the short run in the back of your mind. We've had a lot of short runs with these cautions early on, and now we've been settling into a green flag run, and Justin Brooks looking not there yet, took a look to the inside, poked his nose, tried to force Mueller into a mistake, and now it looks like they're going to start coming up on lap traffic, so this could end up being a factor for this top three.
We don't use this graphic often, but this feels perfect right now with the camera shot, with the battle on screen. This is just the perfect use case for it, is to see the 11 car of Ty Dennis dip down to the pit lane and go 2 laps down. Justin Brooks in the middle, Tyler Mueller leading, and he's going to get put up the racetrack now with that 33 car taking the inside line, nearly contact. Grant Brown there watching for third.
You can make the outside line work here at Stafford. If you've got the tires to do it, you've got the car that can handle well up there, the outside can be your best friend for defense, as we see Mueller hanging on that right rear quarter panel. Gives the lap at the line to Justin Brooks, though. Grant Brown sees the opportunity. He says, hello, I'm going to walk through the front door as well. Side by side with Mueller now for second as Justin Brooks is well and clear.
Oh, leading on him. Up the racetrack goes to 78 of Mueller. He's going to tag the outside wall, drifting, pounds the outside concrete.
Might have a bit of damage there. You see him shaking that wheel.
He was trying to feel it out there into the corner.
Mueller said that he is broken at the moment. He is pulling down the pit lane. Just unfortunate.
He'll come in for service, just keep it on the pit entry lane. Man, that was... that's 0 to 0. I mean, he just led 44 laps in a row. Puts it up on the chip. He's not happy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy either. He said he was broke coming down the pit lane. He was trying to save it all the way down the front straightaway. And now this opens the door. Grant Brown in the second, Calibro and Sylvia third and fourth, and Crow now your top 5. Weissman, Grout, Eric, Delaney, and Fossey your top 10. So we see the fights going on still. Sylvia with a big, big lunge into turn 3. Calibro pulling another crossover. Wiggles. Almost makes contact, but they're still going to stay side by side going into 1.
Oh, contact there. I'm surprised that Sylvia's dropping off like this. Calibro was behind him for a while, and now that one car heading the wrong direction. He was so fast in qualifying, starting to go the wrong way. And here comes that 86 of Justin Crow as Sylvia moves back down to the inside.
Elbows out, trying to find a way to hold on to track position and hope there's a caution. And
there it is.
Caution on the speedway.
You had to say it. Bradley Stefane, and it looks like the 16 of Trevor Ward involved, and that's just ahead of the race leaders. They will just stay on the lead lap, and I think, Zach, we might see some lead lap pitters.
You never know. Prepare for the long run.
Oh, wow.
That looked intentional.
I don't know that it looked intentional. That looked like a, I'm clear.
Or it may have started sooner than that. Not sure. Big lunge going into turn number 1.
Well, these guys are both at RKM Setup Shop.
Yeah, that might have been... Oh, my goodness. That's very hard to say if it was thinking or trying to self-clear. That is really hard to really... I don't know what to say there.
Ward was getting run down by Stefane. I think that's just two drivers disagreeing over space. I mean, this is leading up to it. I think we're safe to call that just a couple of teammates not realizing how much space there was or was not. But we'll see here if anybody comes down the pit lane. There's already a few drivers down there. Brad Carpenter, one of them. Kyle Adams actually now leaving the pits. He'll head back out onto the racetrack. Tyler Mueller is back. There's Carpenter. Trevor Ward in the pit lane. You see a few more dipping down. There's the 7 of Coffee. See the 11 car of Dennis, the 89 of Stefane.
Mueller gets a big save right there.
Yep.
He towed after he got to the pit lane. He almost went a lap down. Actually,
I'm surprised to see him on the lead lap right now. I'm shocked.
He might have.
I think he got the lucky dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he did because timing and scoring showed him 30 seconds behind the pace car last time by, so he might have been going around and taking the wave around.
That does not change my level of shockedness. I know that's not a proper word, but I don't know what else to say there. The fact that he's still in this race after what just happened, what just transpired for him. But you see some drivers in the pit lane. The only driver in the top 5 that's pitted is Grant Brown. The other driver in the top 10 that's pitted is Jake Grout. Now, Grout did take a bit of service. I don't know that he took tires, Zach. You could go back and check if you'd like. It was lap 18, it looks like, but...
Not too sure.
Stefane will take service, and Carpenter as well. These guys should all just be taking damage repairs.
Ty Dennis has removed his car from the racetrack and from the session here tonight, so it looks like he will not be further taking part in tonight's events. But hey, that allows Jacob Alexander to gain a couple of spots if he's willing to get that car back out on the racetrack, as the rest of the field is starting to line up, get ready to take back to the green flag.
Justin Brooks will lead us back to the green here in just a moment. Second place, you see him warming up that left front tire. That was Grant Brown giving it a lockup. We are now 67 laps complete out of 225, nearly a third of the way through. Green flag back in the air. Watching the field pop up out of turn number 2. Justin Crow blinking a bit. Seems to be the theme this evening as they work behind the billboard there, the scoreboard on the front stretch. Sylvia going to pop in third. Calibro, though, puts him too wide, and contact. Calibro going to take him way up to the outside groove.
3 wide, spaced out in the middle of the field, back to 2. Sylvia and Calibro still side by side now. Crow right behind them with Weissman to his outside. These drivers are not holding anything back. And Brooks just went fastest after 70 laps on those tires.
As the fuel burns off, these tires really hang on. They really come to life even, and they can run some pretty big lap times. Sylvia moving to the inside, Calibro blocking. That is a dangerous game to play, especially with somebody that you just roughed up 5 laps ago. Crow now going to move to the inside of Calibro, and that 86 is still trying to march back through. Of course, he had that problem in the heat race. Definitely has some speed, though, and Jake Grout trying to follow there. On board with the 49.
Ooh, look at those hands. Look at them on board. And that's actually one thing I didn't realize. When you had the graphic pulled up showing what the RPMs and the gear the drivers are in, they're in 3rd gear. I did not expect that. Usually you see these cars running in 4th gear all around this racetrack.
Open
with
setups.
These drivers having custom setups. Anything's possible.
And we saw that with the Sarah Super Series at Oxford, remember? They're running that because they don't have to shift as much. It's not even so much about the torque. Oh, Calibro still making contact with Grout. Not even so much about the torque and getting up out of the corner as Grout's going to get some contact there again from Calibro in the 71. But they don't have to shift as much. Whether it's up shifts on the restart, down shifts to slow down, they're able to just leave it in 3rd gear. They probably restart, I would assume, in 2nd, but maybe even in 1st. And regardless, it's one less shift than going to 4th.
I've never really seen the appeal of changing around the gears to help on the restarts. I think that there are times where a 1st gear restart is okay, where a 2nd gear restart's okay. It really all depends on the track.
Oh, here we go, 3 wide. Yurik in the middle, that's Coffee down low, and Wiseman up top. And here comes Mueller right back through.
He wants to get back up there after going all the way to the back. He is charging hard now.
I mean, look at that stat. The fact that this guy is running back here in the 9th position, but 44 laps led. That is the important thing to note right here. 44 laps led for this guy. That is still most of anybody in the race at this point in time. He's got time to get back through, Zach, and get back to the race lead as he moves into 8th spot. But he's definitely got his work cut out for him. Oh, hello!
Contact!
Story off the nose of Weissman. Caution.
Caution on the speedway once again, Andrew, and that's a familiar car to see going around. Hate to say it, but love the paint scheme. Hate to see it involved in so many wrecks tonight.
It has been a scary story for Chris. We'll take a look back here. I'm sad that one fell flat, but here we go. Chris Story down in turns 3 and 4. Wiseman up top of the 74 car. And out of turn 4, Story comes up. That view didn't really show a whole lot. Get another look here. This time with Wiseman. And we're seeing some pit stops. This will be the final view of the crash. Weissman bounced off the wall. Story came up. That's just cars meeting in the middle, Zach. But we have pit stops underway for the race leaders. They have hit their mark exactly, and everybody, it seems like, is coming in. There you see him leaving the pit lane now. Grant Brown, Justin Crow, Jake Grout, Dylan Calibro, all taking tires. There's Carpenter, there's Yurik, and more. Jake Sylvia taking some extra damage repairs. He goes all the way back to 12th.
See that front nose a little bit more fixed, and we did get a mid-race update. Ty Dennis dropped out of the race due to an FPS issue, which is something we've seen a lot of these drivers having so far tonight. But I think the big story is the drivers that stayed out. Muller's still on the racetrack. Adams is out. Story, who was just involved in that wreck, is 3rd. Delaney is 4th, and then I believe the first car on tires, Justin Brooks, in 5th place.
Where's Delaney?
Actually, Yeah, he took to the pit lane, so it looks like the top 3 cars are going to be the first ones on tires. Justin Brooks being fourth in line, first on tires. Grant Brown, Justin Crow behind him, and then Grout, Calabro, and Urich.
I don't really have a good index of how much better tires are in this, on this late model stock car. You don't really see tire changes in races that these cars run. I mean, even look at the ZMAX Cars Tour. You don't see tire changes. The only time they change tires is if they have a puncture, if they have a flat, and that still has to be approved by the series. That's not just automatically you get to change it. The series still has to approve that tire change. It's that big of a deal, even in the ZMAX Cars Tour. So this is, again, it's a bit of an oddity. You don't see it very often outside of sim racing.
You really don't, and I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with you there. I've been to a few Cars Tour races myself. I've seen how they operate with their tire rules, and one thing I have to question: did Muller take tires when he had to go to pit lane? Maybe he's going to be in a better spot now.
You got a good point. He was driving back through the field. You have a really, really good point. We'll find out. But here we go. Into the restart zone. Barney holding that green flag high. Green flag back in the air for Tyler Mueller, who's back out front. Kyle Adams, top row. There's Chris Story, who was just turned around to bring out that caution. And he's going to block.
He went to the bottom.
And that's back up in front of the field. Urich in it. That was Sylvia. That was silly.
That's a big moment of hold the brake, lock it down, get that car wound up.
And he's broken.
Yeah, he's very, very broken. That is unfortunate for Chris Story. And oh my goodness. Let's take one more look at it here. Brooks to the bottom. So apparently what happened was we didn't hear it over race communication, but Story apparently tried to tell the other drivers that he was going to the pit lane, that he was trying to make his way to the pit lane, and that Justin Brooks didn't hear, or it wasn't said, so it created a miscommunication for the drivers, and that's what caused the incident.
That definitely explains it, because otherwise you look at this incident and this is the silliest thing I've seen on a racetrack in a hot minute. Because there's cars faster than him going to the inside, and he turns left, gets turned, and watch this in slow-mo, right back in front of Urich. Sylvia hard on the brakes, can't get by. The 88 of Delaney turns up into it, and Brad Carpenter is locked down trying to miss it. The C's part, he's able to get right through there without too much issue. But that's good to hear that wasn't intentional or anything. That wasn't a block from Story. That was him trying to get to the pit lane, because otherwise, I'll be real with you, Zach, that was silly.
Whether it be an attempt to get to the pit lane or an attempt to try and, I really don't know what to say otherwise, but the thing that I'm trying to say here is that I think Story should have held the brake a little bit better.
Well, he has been DQ'd for the third involvement in a caution, but we're back, green flag. Kyle Adams outside again. Mueller with the race lead. Here comes Brooks on those new tires. And Justin Crow going to lunge into turn 3. That's for third. He looks for it down there. He's going to find it. One lap complete from the restart. I'm going to direct everybody's attention over to the right side of your scoring ticker on your screen here. We're going to show you positions gained throughout this race as Justin Crow moves up into third, Grant Brown up into fourth. And this gives you an idea of just how many positions these drivers have swung. The top half is all positive, the bottom half is all negative, with the exception of Ty Dennis down there.
Yeah, and Mueller there, he went top of the board, and it looks like Justin Brooks took that fastest lap away. So, I think it's safe to say they're both on new tires.
Not necessarily, because the fuel load can do a whole lot, but you would assume that when he pitted, when he was in the pit lane getting that repair, he probably got fuel as well, so you're right, I think. I would assume that he's on some new tires. Well, battle for 5th starting to spark up. Dylan Calabro drops down in front of Coffee. And Coffee now going to get clear. The battle now will be Grout with Adams on the outside. Adams has the leading edge into the corner. I don't think he'll have that on exit, though. I think it'll be dead even across the stripe.
Hard to tell right there, but it looks like Grout is going to try to get clear coming off of turn number 2. This is what I was saying earlier. The outside can be used defensively to keep those cars pinned on the bottom, use up the tires a lot faster, but it looks like Grout will clear. And that's just from Kyle Adams back in line. I think they'll get single file here, but Silvio's right on the back bumper. Grout trying to get underneath Calabro.
I'm impressed how far Grout got to the 71 car, but up front, we're starting to battle for the race lead again. As I got to direct your attention again to the right side of that scoring ticker, 16 positions gained for Justin Crow, 10 for this guy who's working on the back end of Tyler Mueller for the race lead on lap 95. Just some insane stats as Brooks looks for the race lead again.
He's been working on that back bumper for a few laps now.
Here we go.
Mueller gets loose. Here's the look. Sends it down to the bottom, gets pinched all the way. Contact for the lead. And Justin Brooks is going to get it here. Almost hits the wall there for the 11.
Mueller might pay that one back. That was definitely a bit of contact from the 33 to the 78. And, Mueller tries to get there. He is down there for turn 1. Right back in that same position Brooks was in. Brooks, though, able to evade, run up the track a little bit. No contact. Let's go to turn 3.
Just throwing it in there. And Justin Crow saying, keep fighting, keep working. Let me close back in. A little bit of contact for the race lead coming off of turn number 4. That's going to allow Mueller to get back in there. Try to put that nose back out in front. Look at how close they are together. Justin Crow just waiting in the wind, seeing, watching, waiting. Crossover again.
Wow, what a corner there from Brooks. That's that new Hoosier rubber doing its work. Gets back down to the inside. He's going to work up the racetrack again right at center. Got back to the door of the 78. And almost some contact there down the back stretch.
Been going at it now. They're really doing some good hard racing, but now it's a 3-car race. Justin Crow has worked himself into this fight from all this battling, and now I think we might see another crossover here. No, you can't make it happen because Crow is into it now. Justin Brooks now all by himself for the race lead.
Yeah, Crow really came in and ruined this whole race for Mueller. Ruined this battle for Mueller as we complete lap 100, 125 to go then. And that's another spot gained for the 86 of Justin Crow. Can you believe it?
We've seen records broken with closest finishes twice this past weekend. I think I can believe a little something like that. As we see Mueller now going backwards. The rest of the top 5 moving on by him. Grant Brown in third, Coffee underneath, trying to make something happen. Mueller's on defense now, really making contact here with Coffee in 7.
Well, these guys all have new tires. Even if Mueller has newer tires, they're older than these bunch. So pretty well makes sense that he's going to get passed up by these guys as Justin Crow is into the second spot. 17 positions gained now since the drop of the green flag initially some 103 laps ago. Really impressive stuff out of driver 86, and he's got just one spot to go before he takes some laps led for him. That is now 31 for Brooks, and let's see, for Mueller, its total is 61, 11 for Delaney, and that about gets us through this race. The only lap leaders, it looks like, those 3 cars. The 86, Crow would like to change that.
I bet he would, and he is still trying to find a way to get up there, get to that back bumper. I don't know if I see it happening, though, Andrew. That 33 has been checked out as soon as he gets to the race lead. And the gap is working down slightly, so maybe we will see a race lead.
Oh, Grant Brown blocking Coffee down the racetrack. Alex would like 3rd position, I think. The Eagle Performance 14 car works and hooks that white line to stay ahead. I think what a lot of these guys sometimes forget, and this is not at all necessarily these drivers that are in the race in particular, but iRacing late model drivers in general, I think what they forget, Zach, is just how many laps are in these races, especially this one, 225 laps, plenty of time. Oh, Delaney, right as I say it, gets turned around. That will be a caution. Shouldn't have said anything.
Well, we both had the jinx tonight, so it was your turn because I already took mine.
It was just about to have a conversation about attrition. And here we go. This was back here for position 11. Delaney up the racetrack, Uric there. Delaney just got loose. I mean, nothing he did. Nothing he could have done. Uric, that is. Nothing Uric could have done as Delaney just powers through and then gets loose off the corner.
Well, you hate to see it.
Well,
Especially for Delaney. He's been involved in quite a few cautions tonight.
We've also got some pit stops. Here's Coffee into the pit lane for tires, and you see the 78 as well. We did just knock off a chunk of laps there, and we're at 115 to go. You can absolutely run 115 on tires and be okay.
Absolutely. The question is that something you want to do? As we focus on the drivers in the pit lane, but I am hearing a lot of drivers maxing out the rev limiter under caution, trying to burn fuel.
Yep. I mean, we did just go green for a while, and now, I mean, you can hear it. Not from Justin Brooks, not from Justin Crow.
I believe it's Dylan Calabro.
It was. Here we go.
Yeah, you see the RPM maxed out in third gear. He's really trying to burn some fuel off. It's actually a very common trick that a lot of these iRacers use to try and burn the fuel off under the yellow flag and lighten the load on the car, allow it to drive better, allow it to really just drive in a different way, and it's supposed to help the setup, it's supposed to help the car be able to be faster. Any trick you can to go faster, these drivers are going to find it.
You know what though, Zach? He was doing it in third gear, which we went back.
Not going to burn too much.
Well, it'll burn the same amount as if you do it in any other gear when you're, you know, full clutch and just letting it rip. But when you release the clutch, you're in third gear, so the motor is doing less work, which is burning less fuel. But he eventually caught on, put it down in first, and started to burn that fuel back off. He must have overfilled at some point and wants to burn it back off as we're going to hit halfway in this race as we take the green flag. Brooks the leader, Crow second. This just in, Brooks and Crow are really good at this late model stock car thing, apparently. Oh, that's Calabro in the wall.
Big, heavy hit for that 71. That's going to allow a lot of drivers to get on by him. He's going to lose about 3 spots here. Brown, Grout, and it looks like Sylvia are going to try to take advantage of that situation.
Grout to the inside of Brown for third spot and backs out. I'm sad you didn't catch that joke there. This just in.
I just did a 7.5-hour drive back from Virginia, or back from Delaware. I think I'm a little too zoned out for the jokes here tonight.
Here we go, Jake Sylvia now defending as soon as he gets by Calabro, defending over Calabro. These two have been side by side a lot tonight, and they've made a lot of contact while doing it. Contact there again. Calabro going to nose ahead and move Sylvia up the racetrack. They've got to be getting tired of one another, I would think. As here comes Kyle Adams looking on through. He's got some... Well, no, I don't think he has tires. He might have taken 2, but that's it. I think he's trying to save those tires for later on in this race. But, Zach, the joke was this just in. As, oh,
Kyle Adams.
He won't let me explain it. Whoa, hello.
Ooh. Trevor Ward just sliding on in.
You can see the reaction from Kyle because he started to go and said, whoa, there's a 16 car there. But this just
Wow,
in as Justin Brooks and Justin Crow lead the race. Here we go.
I think the dad jokes are starting to come in a little too early for you.
Well. There's the 24 going around, and Trevor Ward's spinning to miss it. I don't know why. That just makes me chuckle when you see the 24 stop there. He starts to roll, and then realizes, whoop, there's a big blue car in the way.
It's on board here with Kyle Adams. Goes into the corner, just makes contact, and it snaps around on him. Does a good job of getting it locked down, stays in the center of the track, and then there you see Trevor Ward sliding on in. Hey, at least they kept the cars clean, so we can probably roll this out as a quick yellow. Get these cars right back racing.
Here's some more chip burning from Calibro, and one car is going to go around. It's actually going to be Ward, who went spinning there. He is 12 laps down, though, Zach, so this is a pretty fair wave around. Try to get him back in the race. Thing is, nothing against Trevor. I really hope he isn't able to get back in, because that would mean we'd need 11 more cautions.
Ooh, my goodness. 9 cautions, 34 laps. That is about a fourth of this race so far. However, we've had 8 lead changes, so it's
technically
still been pretty solid so far, as the drivers have actually had their caution shorted. They're lined up, lights are out, and I think somebody just blew their motor.
Bradley Stefane, I think, just pulled it in. He's now rolling back out, but here we go. Green flag on the way. 105 to go at Stafford. Whoa, right to the bottom. Grant Brown nearly got there on Justin Crow, and then immediately blinks out. Now contact between him and Grout. Everybody hangs on to it into turn 3. Can they get out of turn 3?
Would like to hope so. A little bit more blinking. Grout in the wall. Sylvia in the wall. These drivers are going all out right now.
Grout on the outside of Calibro. That's going to be for 4th and 5th whenever they get it sorted out. Grout outside, Calibro inside, contact. A great view of the yachtclubsoda.com decal there on the 71 car, but no decision yet as to who's going to win this fight. And look who's right behind him, Zach.
Ooh, contact behind. That was Urich going all the way down to the grass. Coffee trying to come back up. That was some heavy, heavy contact. And as you were trying to point out, Mueller is trying to work himself back up. He is now up into the 5th position in front of Rout. Right
Not so fast. Rout's going to send him down here to turn 1. What a job hanging on to that.
That was a big, big lockup right there.
That was going to be a full send. And, working on it still here to turn 3. Grout's still there.
I don't think Mueller appreciated that going to turn 1, so he's not really going to cut him any slack trying to make that pass.
Well, right behind him, that fight that was 2 wide, 2 rows deep. Wiseman going to get out of it. Alex Coffey now side by side with Sean Urich, and Jake Sylvia is that black and white car right behind. Sylvia has been so good today, but he's off the mark right now. He got sorted back here. Qualified 2nd, clearly has pace. Just trying to work back through.
Yeah, he's up there in our top 5 in points that we talked about before this race got started, and being all the way back here, especially with the likes of Justin Brooks out in front, Justin Crow right behind him. Guys that are trying to gain back points and be able to put themselves into this championship fight. We've only got 5 races after this. You can't have really a bad race like this. It's just not going to help your championship. If the straight up points format, which I assume all short track races are, it's really not going to help.
Dylan Delaney to the inside here of Sean Urich. This will be for 10th spot. Brad Carpenter back there. Kyle Adams kind of just waiting in the wings. And Delaney will move on through for 10th position, at least for the time being. A little further forward, Mueller now working on Calibro. This is for 4th.
Mueller's been trying to find ways to get back up there. He got a really great exit coming off of turn number 2. He's going to take that look, try to let Calabro know that he is going to be there. Calabro with a little bit of a step. Mueller with a decent exit, but he's still not going to be able to get there. He's attacking the wall off the 4.
We are now inside of 100 laps to go. Want to remind everybody of how you can keep up with Pit Stop TV and catch events like this. This was one that, when we woke up this morning, we were not expecting to do. In fact, I'll be honest, when I woke up this morning, I didn't know this event was happening at all. Got the call around probably 11 o'clock today. Hey, do you want to do this broadcast? Do you want to fill in for Podium Esports? I said, absolutely. And glad we did. This has been a very, very fun event to cover. I know it's gone on a little bit caution-laden, but still really solid racing, and I think these guys are working on it. They're still early in the season, but you see all the different social media links at the bottom of your screen. I will say we are ending our streaming to kick, so that will come back off, and it'll be limited back down to the first 5 options, and we unfortunately don't broadcast to Instagram. But Zach, we have to do some work. But we are, I think I'll just say this, we are going to make a conceited effort to get onto TikTok and get to where we can stream on TikTok as we ride on board with Mueller. I think that'd be a pretty cool thing if we can make that happen. There's some work to go into it, but it's something we want to do, and it's going to be a conceited effort over the summer to get onto TikTok because, I mean, it's TikTok. It's what everybody watches things on these days.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great, really. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for us. There's a few things going on with the United States government when it comes to TikTok at the moment, so it's really hard to be able to engage with that field at the moment with potential bans coming from the platform.
Caution. Well, no caution yet, actually.
No caution.
Well, Delaney going to fall back here now to 13th spot outside of the field. Let's check on what happened. Racing with Jake Sylvia down here at turn 1. So it's Delaney on the inside, the white 88 car. Sylvia on the outside, the black and white 1. Delaney just...
Same thing that happened earlier with Kyle Adams.
Similar, yeah. He got, I don't want to say scared, but he was trying to keep the car off of Sylvia on his outside and just kind of pulled the wheel down, and when he did so, it just didn't like the apron, because he was right on the edge of the apron there. As you see the fight behind as we are lapping through some of the lap cars now. Stefan goes a lap down, but here we go. Mueller gonna go work right on through Grout. What a drift there through 1 and 2, and Calabro trying to hang on for 5th.
Yeah, hangs on to it for the time being, but the outside has been defensive, but the falter as the laps wind down. You see Grout still hanging on to that inside line. He might just get clear coming off of turn number 2. Not quite yet. Calabro in the wall just a tad. They're going to stay side by side as Coffee and Sylvia. Or excuse me, not Sylvia, Wiseman. Oh, Calabro in the wall again.
Seen that a lot. But here comes that 74 car of Wiseman you mentioned. There's been a couple of drivers that have just used the outside wall to turn today, especially on corner exit. Calabro being one of them, Delaney being another. And Calabro, I think, starting to pay the price. He's headed back in a hurry as Alex Coffey starts to work back through. And he pitted on that last yellow as he staggers to the inside of Wiseman into the corner. He pitted out of that last yellow along with Tyler Mueller. Mueller clearly has had better work since then, but Coffey still moving up through the field. And speaking of somebody doing some work, Grant Brown pulling up on Justin Crow. This will be for 2nd.
Right now, because look at that ticker. Justin Brooks has worked out a 2.5 seconds over Justin Crow. 2.5 seconds. That's the biggest margin we've seen all night out of our leaders. And then it's another 0.4 back from Crow to Brown, and then from there it's almost a full 2 seconds.
71 laps led now for Justin Brooks. This run really helping that total. And if we bring up the lap led stat on the ticker again, he's just gone past Tyler Mueller some 10 laps ago. So working by, and speaking of, oh boy.
Calabro.
That engine has expired.
Calibro does not sound happy over the radio right now. Sounds like he's talking to Alex Coffey, so that might be who we're looking at for this incident here right now. And yeah, you can see damage on the front of that car.
That was already there. Take a look back at it, though. This is out of turn 4. Oh, wow.
My goodness.
Coffee on the right rear Calibro, and I don't know who went what direction. What I do know is they both ended up in the outside wall.
Very common occurrence on the iRacing sim with the drivers just getting together, hooking, and once you get on that right rear quarter panel, once it's hooked, it just sucks these cars dead right, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I'll have to put that one on Coffee. I think Calibro's right. We'll get a look back here, and we might even go ahead and try to talk to the driver of the 71. This is a little further back. He pulled the crossover to get to the inside of Coffee. We're going to see some pit stops now from many of our leaders. Coffee comes down and right on board. Boom. So he will likely be out of the race. No pit stop for Sylvia, but a pit stop for Justin Brooks. Going to cycle him back to 3rd position now. And let's see here, Zach. Do you think we can dial him up real quick?
Let's see if we can. He's been our leader so far here tonight. He's had the strategy to get it done.
Oh, I'm referring back to Calibro. Somebody who I don't think is going to be all that happy, but Dylan, I know you're probably a little hot under the collar right now. What happened?
I just got hooked. I really don't know what else to say. I mean, we were racing hard, and all of a sudden, I'm in the wall.
I think I'd have to agree in my most professional stance, but you had a really good car this evening. Car 71 on rails at times. Didn't quite get to the race lead, but what can you build on from here as we go forward in this series?
Just qualify better. I mean, I maybe stay away from certain people. I don't know. I was 2nd in the points lead coming into this race, and now I'm probably going to be out of it.
Well, Dylan, it's good to catch up with you at the very least. It was a good race going for you until that happened. Best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
One of the first drivers we've spoken to this evening, the other being your boy, Jacob Alexander, who is now out of the race. Michael Wiseman.
Winnebago.
Michael Wiseman going to bring us back to the green, it looks like, here in a bit. And I have a feeling we're going to be talking to Justin Brooks after this race. I'll knock on wood for him. I don't want to jinx him, but I just got a feeling about that 33 car. Qualified on pole by a 10th. Sylvia qualified 2nd. We're going to be talking to at least one of those drivers. I think that's a safe bet. One of those two.
Hey, if not both.
We're going back green here in just a moment. And we are starting to click these laps off. In fact, it'll be 75 laps to go exactly. So 2/3 of the way through this race. Barney with the flag high in the air. Green flag again from Stafford. Down the backstretch, Wiseman with the race lead. First time all night he's been out front. And Justin Brooks going to slide right into position number 2. Grant Brown going to use that bottom side. Everybody aside from the 45, or I guess the 74 in this case, everybody aside from the 74, the 1, and the 97 and the 88, they're all on tires.
See how long Wiseman can hold on to this lead, as we've had the most dominant car of the day right on his tailcoats, trying to find a way to get through.
Justin Brooks, new fast lap, a 19.39, and Wiseman going to sit down the racetrack a little bit and try to block.
And he's going uber defensive going into turn number 3, but Brooks is going to cross him over, coming with the run down the front straightaway. Wiseman will lead the lap, but he won't have it going through turn 2.
You usually look for those high-banked racetracks for slide jobs and crossovers, but it's the flat racetracks that'll sneak up on you. Brooks right back to the front in car 33, lap 154, and he might have just taken back control of the race. And he might be going for 2 wins in a row. I think he's absolutely the favorite. He's got the most laps led now. I think that's fair to say.
Knock on wood, Andrew.
Down to turn 3. This is the battle for second. Grant Brown going to follow on through. And here comes Mueller in that 78 car. He's not done. Justin Brooks fastest, a 19.381. Picks up a 10th over his last best lap. Contact here between Mueller and Wiseman. Mueller going to work on through, though. Oh, contact. Jake Grout now filling some space. Yeah, the 49, I think, tapped the 74 for a moment. So Grout filling some space. He works through, and the gap from first to second, about 2/3 of a second.
Everybody now just about getting single filed out. Not too many battles going on throughout the field. Probably the first purely single file racing that we've seen all night.
Well, while we have this moment, we couldn't get a graphic done for it quite in time, but a big nod to the series partners, Spartamax, Spartamax.net, I believe it is, Spartamax. CB Designs, Crow Sim Shots, Molly's Custom Silver, Hot Shots Photography, Podium Esports, and one of our partners at the channel, of course, with Flash Sim Cams, as well as ATVO and CC's Business. Green flag racing at Stafford, that is a good thing. Justin Brooks, the race leader, about 3/4 of a second now, the race lead from first to second. Tyler Mueller, he's got the second most laps led. He's working here on second. Grant Brown currently occupying that position. And the Eagle Performance driver has fought an uphill battle most of the day. But I think at this point is certainly one of our better drivers. I don't know that he's the best. Certainly, I would say the 33 is, but he's one of the better drivers in the field right now.
Absolutely, and this battle is right here starting to heat up. Mueller and Grant Brown, Grout right behind them. Mueller's just been on damage repair, and full credit to him because he's now back up to third. I think he's going to be able to wholly get that car back up into second, and to be perfectly honest, he did pit, right? He pitted with everybody else, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did. Our top 4 have.
So that would mean he is either on the same strategy as everybody else and he's out of tires, or he still has one set of tires remaining if he didn't take tires when he pitted initially for that contact down the back straightaway.
It looks like they took right sides. If you look at the pit timer for these guys, it's consistent, about 11, 12 seconds. I think that's going to be indicative of 2 tires, likely the right sides. So they're using that last set wisely. Of course, they want to get that fresh rubber, but also get back on the racetrack quickly. So that's why they take 2 instead of 4. The only drivers left in the top 10 who stayed out, actually, well, it's still the 4 of them. Michael Wiseman in the 74. Jake Sylvia in the 1 stayed out. And then Dylan Delaney and Sean Urich both stayed on the racetrack.
So it looks like they're just trying to save their tires. Maybe prepare for a late race yellow, but I do not know how well that's going to work. You would really need a short run to make a strategy like that work. Maybe 20 to 30 laps. Really try to put yourself in a position where you can hold on to the track position. But either way, you're still going to the back if you're going to be able to pit and take those tires.
Justin Crow working through the field. I think he might have just headed the wrong direction for a moment. Weissman got by him. Now Crow gets back by him. So the 86 back into the top 5. I really thought he'd be higher up the field at this point in time. I think he might have taken some damage repair as he took a longer time in the pit lane, I believe. Hang on. My eyes deceiving me, they are. He actually had a faster stop than most of these guys. It just got cycled back there and has some work to do for sure. I think if this race goes green for a while, he'll probably move ahead of Grout and get close to Mueller as this run develops.
Yeah, he's definitely been one of the faster cars here tonight. Figured he would still be up there trying to chase down Justin Brooks, but it looks like he's not going to be able to stay up there right now. On board here with Mueller. Just how good he corners, honestly. It's really great to see how a lot of these drivers take these corners because there's a lot of consistency that's really needed at a track like Stafford, and I think this 11 car has really shown just how consistent he can be when it comes to these corners. Look at how he gets in there, lets it roll, and then gets a really, really good exit, so he does not lose that much time in the car in front.
Sylvia heading the wrong direction some more as Brown blinks out again. Sylvia down to 9th. He is dropping like a rock. Look at him just trying to hang on to the tires. And, you know, when he pitted some 90 laps ago, it looks like he took tires. He took 21 seconds in the pit lane. That could have been 2 and then 10 seconds of repairs, Zach.
It's wholeheartedly possible. He may not have even taken tires at all.
One car slow off the pit lane. It's going to be Calibro, but we've got a fight developing back up here, 2nd and 3rd.
Calibro 25 laps down. Not many positions he could gain within the last 50 laps of this race. But the 14 and the 11, fighting hard, trying to see who can take over that 2nd spot. Really good camera angle to watch this. You can see the fight for 4th, 5th, and 6th developing behind you.
Yeah, this drone camera flying around the racetrack gives us a really cool perspective. They'll fly by us here on the back straightaway. And one of the things I love about late model stock racing is you can hear the chip so frequently. Every time these cars go into the corner, you hear at least somebody hit the chip, and especially some of these guys who have a shorter gear ratio, get a little more oomph out of the corner. These cars just have a really, really cool sound.
I may be a little biased, but oh, nothing truly beats the sound of the chip.
Now, you have to clarify, that's not a potato chip crunching. It's not a wavy lays or a Ruffles averages. It's the rev limiter kicking in when these guys get up to a certain RPM. I feel like you have to specify when you say you love the sound of a chip.
Considering the topic of conversation, I feel like it was implied.
Implied maybe, but there's always somebody. And you know what? I say there's always somebody. We do have a lot of viewers each time we broadcast that are a little newer to racing, whether it's family members or sponsors, what have you. Which genuinely, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So as you watch these broadcasts, we use a lot of these more technical terms, and when we say hitting the chip, it means they're hitting the rev limiter. These engines do have a governing device, kind of like a lot of street cars, actually. Maybe not a lot of street cars, but work vehicles will have a governor that will keep them under a certain speed. Kind of like that, except it's for each gear. So it keeps the engine under a certain speed. It won't let it tick over a certain RPM. And when these guys get to the end of the straightaways, it's actually, they design they try to get the right gear in the setup that will allow them to hit that chip late in the race by just a little bit, late in the tire run. So you might hear them hit the chip a lot on new tires because as the tires wear out and they are able to use, well, they're slower out of the corner, that means they're slower down the straightaway. They can actually still use the full length of the gear on old tires as, grout got loose there in turns 3 and 4. So when we talk about hitting the chip, and even late in the run, they're still hitting the chip. That's what we're talking about. They're trying to use the full length of the gear and make sure they still get right into the top end of the power band. And it just happens to be a really cool sound that a lot of race car folk like.
The only downside of the chip, sometimes you lay on it too much. That engine, well, it go boom.
Watching from these static cameras, 2 battles front to back. 2nd and 3rd, and then 4th and 5th, and you can see the rest of these guys kind of fighting around behind. It looks like Brad Carpenter is going to do some work now on Jake Sylvia. That'll be for the 9th position. We'll go on board with Carpenter's bright green machine. Car around, that is Urich. Sean Urich, no caution. Hello?
Car stopped in the middle of turn 4. My goodness, where was the caution for the 97?
Wow.
Seems like the track was clean and green, so it looks like they were gonna keep things rolling.
I wonder if Steve Charles can chip in the broadcast chat. He's been talking to us, giving us information all race long. What if he can chip in and let us know if it's fully iRacing cautions, because or admin cautions? Because if that's iRacing cautions, I'm shocked. If it's admin cautions, it makes sense. Well, Zach, 40 laps to go this time by. Justin Brooks out front as we expected. I'm waiting, and then I keep going to talk right as you talk. It's The magic of broadcasting.
I would like to apologize to all the viewers tonight. The drive home from Delaware earlier today has really taken its toll on me, and I am experiencing a few things that may be lagging my performance tonight, kind of like we've seen a few drivers lagging with their blinking in and out tonight. So, again, apologies. I think next time I'm in the booth, it'll be a little bit better than how I feel at the moment.
It's funny you bring out the next time you might be in the booth. We have some races coming up later. Well, one more race coming up later this week. We head out to Caffeine on Octane Linear Raceway May 9th, this coming Thursday, for some racing with the SARA, or SARA, Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. They'll be running super late models out at Linear later this week to cap off their 2024 season number 1. That's their spring season of racing for the year. At a 2- or 3-way championship fight still between guys like Alex McCullum, Ryan Kuhn, Chase Cambry, and Jacob Harberts that are all, I think, still up with a shot to win the championship. A lot of fun on Thursday evening.
Wide open at Oxford.
Yeah, that was definitely a season-changing race a week ago, or I guess a week and a half ago at Oxford Plains Speedway. Then, the following Thursday, we follow them out with their 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour as they head out to North Wilkesboro Speedway for the third round. Technically fourth, but third round of their 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour season. All while, as we near 30 laps to go, this fight sparks up. Wiseman is caught and passed Jake Grout. Wiseman stayed out. Wiseman,
Grout
I think,
is loose down the backstretch. Just tuned in to see that happen. Oh my goodness.
I think they're losing left side tires.
It is wholeheartedly possible, but at the same time, I'm surprised to see the right side stepping out the way it is through the corners and down the straightaway. Grout is really losing the back end of that car. Not sure what's going on.
I mean, he pitted under the last yellow, and that's indicative of 2 tires.
Oh.
Wow. This is really confusing.
This is incredibly confusing, and I'm starting to wonder if he's genuinely going to spin the car out as he continues to snap that car sideways. This isn't late model stock car racing anymore, ladies and gentlemen. This is Formula Drift. This is stock car drift.
Well, Grout hanging onto the car, maybe not. Slides through 1 and 2, and he's going to spin down the backstretch. I don't think that'll prompt a yellow. He's way out of the way down there. And he'll take the backstretch access road to get back up onto the track. He's got a pit.
He's still all over the place as he gets back onto the racetrack, and
he's just ahead of our leader.
Right here behind him. Yeah, he's only just still in the top 10. Everyone else 5, 12, 42 laps down. It's actually quite surprising to see how many laps down everyone outside of the top 10 is.
Well, we had Urich parked on the outside of the racetrack for a bit. He went and got some repairs, it looks like, some 8 laps ago. Bradley Stephanie is actually currently working out of the pit lane. Trevor Ward took a bunch of repairs as Stephanie actually comes back in. Stefane, rather. I'm sorry. Calibro is back on the racetrack. But he's pretty much just doing laps through the pit lane.
That is very, very close right there to the 74 of Wiseman. Look at how far he's got that wheel cranked over down the straightaway. He's just running laps.
Well, and he can.
He'll pass anybody.
Oh no! He's gonna hook Kyle Adams, and Kyle Adams' motor has left the chat.
And there is still no caution on the speedway.
I wonder if they were told that they wouldn't be getting any more cautions because of the amount they've had. There it is. Cautions out.
Charles has thrown the yellow. And I am sure Kyle Adams is not going to be a very happy camper right now.
Well, that about gives us the answer of whether it's iRacing cautions or all admin-controlled yellows. And finally, we get one there for Kyle Adams.
And that's his day pretty much over.
A lot like Calibro earlier, and it's odd enough that, well, I suppose it's not really on Calibro when you look at it that way. Hang on.
Adams has already claimed the yellow flag.
Well, let's check this out down here in turn 1. Adams comes flying in. Calibro is out of control. Adams was sliding into the corner.
That's more than really. If Adams was already sliding into the corner, that would have to be a little bit more of a racing incident then. Because Calibro did his job as a lap car. He got out of the way for the lap car. He gave up the preferred racing line. You see Kyle Adams going into the corner. It looks like, honestly, he might have just gotten a little scared and was going to try to move a different direction. And really...
I think the problem you run into, though, Zach, is you've got a car that's not making minimum speed.
That is very true. You see multiple cars taking tires that they had not taken before. I see a few cars actually taking 4 tires. I think Wiseman took 4 tires. See Delaney taking left side tires there. Wiseman maybe only taking left side tires then.
There's no way he took 4 tires in 12 seconds. I refuse to believe that. He's up on lefts. No way.
No way.
Okay.
No, he only took rights.
Okay, I was going to say.
That also brings into play, he didn't take his right side tires, and he was up inside the top 5. And he was racing with the drivers who had the tires. So maybe now we have a little bit of a late race show here with Wiseman, who now has right side tires. The top 5 all stayed out on the racetrack. This is shaking up to be one heck of an interesting battle now with less than 25 to go.
Now 4 cars stayed out at the front of the field. That was Brooks, Brown, Mueller, and Crow. Then the next 5 all pitted. That's Wiseman, Carpenter, Sylvia, Delaney, and Grount.
Adams still in the pit lane as well. That's the end of your top 10, and he's 4 laps down. Urich is going to move up into the 9th position just from staying on the racetrack.
Well, let's grab somebody quickly and talk with them before they go green. It's going to be Jake Grount, who's going to restart at the back end of the cars who pitted. Jake, an interesting opportunity here. You're going to line up 9th, but it looks like on 2 tires. How's the car feel?
Come again? Sorry.
Well, we're talking about, well, actually, first, how many tires did you take on that stop?
This thing is killed. I threw some left sides on this. We're gonna send it.
Fair enough. Well, lining up 9th. Best of luck here on the restart.
Thank you.
Jake Grount, giving us information I did not expect, Zach. I did not think he'd have left sides.
To the point. I love it.
Well, we got a restart coming. Justin Brooks inside, Grant Brown outside, inside of 25 to go. Green flag back out at Stafford. And we are racing to the end, ladies and gentlemen. 21 laps left in this race. First car on tires is in 5th, and it's Wiseman.
Yeah, and he is definitely rotating very well through the corner, but it doesn't look like he has the pace still to keep up with those top 5 cars.
It'll take a minute for the tires to come in. Give him 2 or 3 laps.
We'll give him 2 or 3 laps then. Try to see if we can put that car exactly where it needs to be, side by side behind. Sylvia, Carpenter trying to fight it out for the 6th position. Sylvia with the nose through the center. Carpenter way up the racetrack, in the wall. Give it to Sylvia at the line.
Sylvia's probably the best car straight up that's on tires. But I think there's still, some cars that are faster on old tires. Wiseman, Sylvia, those guys have their work cut out for them. But you see Wiseman starting to creep up on Crow and Mueller. He might be able to get by a couple of these guys.
He could definitely try to poke his nose in there, see if he can't make something happen. Crow really threw it into the corner, though. He's going to lose a little bit, but Wiseman gains it back on corner exit.
You got to beat these guys on corner exit.
That's really the big thing, but if you're losing too much on entry, you won't really be able to make it up on exit.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. You have to beat them on corner exit. You can't go diving onto the apron like that and then just wash up when you're at the back end of the train. If you're Wiseman here, you got to enter high and get the run out so you can try to get to the inside of Crow on corner exit and run it all the way down the backstretch as Crow gets sideways there out of 4. Wiseman,
mistake that Wiseman needed.
There we go, to the inside.
Throws it in there. Crow's going to try to cross him. Can't get there. Now he's got his sight set on 3rd. Miller right in front of him. He's run out of time. 15 laps to go when we hit the start-finish line.
Mueller on Brown. Brooks pulling away. As you mentioned, 15 laps to go. Kyle Adams has just been passed up by Trevor Ward, who's turning laps. these are your top 5, and let's see, Wiseman's last lap was a 1942, and that last lap on 1939, that was faster than each of the... That was the fastest lap on the racetrack. Wiseman just turned the fastest lap on the racetrack that time. The tires are coming in.
Is he going to have the time, though? We are rolling up on the end of this race, and if he can't get through these next few cars, how is he going to be able to hold a candle to Justin Brooks, who might even still be saving the tires he has?
He was still fastest on the racetrack that time, but the margin that it's by is just not enough. If they were left to not have to drive through each other and they just kept turning these laps, Wiseman would eventually pass each one of these drivers, but laps are ticking away, and unfortunately for Wiseman, there are cars on the racetrack that you have to get by, and that time, he's only getting a couple of hundredths a lap on these guys.
Fun, though. Look here, he's going to try to take a look at the inside. Mueller's
not
going to give it up without a fight, though.
He got to his left rear. He is there this time on the front stretch. Mueller has to give him the room. And this will be good. It might take a lap or two, but this will be good for third.
He's got to clear him as fast as humanly possible, and it looks like he'll get it, but Mueller to the bottom. Defensive goes Wiseman.
That's okay.
On, keeps third.
He's got the tires to get away down the front stretch. And he is now 0.8 back. He's been on average about a 10th faster than the leader, but that was not a good corner entry for Wiseman. He's going to back up now to 0.9, nearly a second. He's only about a 10th faster per lap. That's when he's on his own. And he's still got to get through Brown.
He cannot afford to lose any more time to the leader of Justin Brooks. He's got to just push as hard as he can. He's got the tires to make it happen. He's got to just let her rip, let her eat and go for it. As Brown starts to crawl away from Wiseman, but not getting any closer to that leader of Justin Brooks.
Grant Brown has had a few shining moments today, but right now, not making ground up on that car ahead. In fact, that lap he was slower. Although that lap, Justin Brooks tipped Michael Wiseman for fastest lap on the racetrack by 1/1000th of a second. Talk about the gap at the end of last night's NASCAR Cup Series race. That's how close that was.
Oh, what a race. What a beautiful race to watch. See one car coming out of the pit lane
That's
right
Adams.
there. That is Kyle Adams coming out of the pit lane. And Grant Brown continues to fall backwards on Justin Brooks, falling into the clutches here of Wiseman, who is now creeped in under half a second on the gap to the second place car. Mueller's still right behind in that fourth position. Crow trying to find a way to get through to fourth. Don't know if he's going to have enough time to get there, though. 5 laps to go at the line.
5 laps to go. Full hand in the air from Barney the Flagman. Crow, big lunge to the inside, and that's going to be contact, and Mueller's going to go around. That's a caution. Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Aw, man, you took that from me.
And they are not happy with one another. And that's a shame for Justin Crow. A perfectly good race car there at the end. Dented up now. He had no damage, I don't think, going into that.
That's more of a shame for Justin Brooks. Now Wiseman gets a full reset. He's got more right side tires than both those leaders. Let's see if he can put it to good use on a short run.
Back to the replay here. We watched it live. Mueller on the outside. Crow on the inside. They met in the middle. I think if you have to split hairs, that's probably... I want to say Mueller, but, you know, some sides of racing dictate that the leading car is able to choose their line, and it's the passing car's responsibility to do it cleanly. That applies, I think, on road courses. On an oval, it's kind of different. It's heads up. You have spotters. I think I'm going to put that one personally on the 78 car, but it'll be left to the drivers to decide, I think.
On another note, you caught it there towards the end of the replay of our little incident there with those 2 cars, but Jake Grout has taken that car to the pit lane. He was in the infield grass when the caution came out in turns 3 and 4.
It's a problems for car 49. We'll see if we can get a look back as to why. There he is pitting.
He's got a lot of right side damage. That was not there before.
Well, he already had some.
He's just snapping around. He just spins it out on the backstretch. Don't know if those side tires help him out too much.
Okay, so this is pre-damage. Well, he's still got damage, but pre-complete pancake, and it's loose,
There
loose,
it goes.
loose. Pow!
Oh my goodness.
Even got the cut out there. Well, Justin Brooks is in control of this race. He's going to have 2 laps to go, and this will use our first overtime attempt. Wiseman is the driver on tires. Zach, let's dial him up. We might be talking to him still at the end of this race, but let's dial up driver 74 here. Michael, a really big opportunity for you. You've got those right side tires. You got a few laps led this evening. You're restarting third on a green-white checkered. How's the car feel? Do you think you can get them?
I don't know if we got enough to beat Brooks and Grant, but I'm hoping at least a third place. The car feels pretty damn good.
Gotta say, you've looked really good in that 74 car. Is there one particular thing you're looking for on this restart, or is it just full send and hope for the best?
Full send, but try to be as clean as possible. Really enjoy racing with the guys around me, and pretty good friends with half of them.
Fair enough. Very honest. Best of luck here on the restart.
Thank you, appreciate it. Hopefully put on a good show.
Absolutely, you guys have so far. We'll get him back up into that group with the drivers. Restart zone will go. Green, white, checkered first attempt. If we get the first lap in, the race is official.
Crossover move to the bottom. Grant Brown trying to find a way around. Wiseman trying to hang on to third.
Wiseman's down there. He's going to go back up into Mueller just a bit. I don't think he's going to have any chance at the leaders. He drives a 78 up the racetrack. White flag is out for Justin Brooks. This race will be official this time by white flag is out, presented by Whiplash Simcams.
Lots of racing going on behind. Mueller now dropping back. Justin Crow to the inside. Wiseman defensive into 3. They're beating and banging, but it's all Justin Brooks out in front.
Checkered flag, driver 33 from pole, back to 12th on the grid, back to the lead, and he runs the fastest lap of the race on the last lap of the race in overtime. Best car on the racetrack all night long. Justin Brooks will take the win at Stafford.
That was with, what, about 60 lap old tires?
81 lap old right sides. And who knows how old the left sides were.
Just goes to show there's still life in these tires, especially when you've got them worn out. Justin Brooks, a well-deserved win and a well-deserved burnout for that 33.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
149 laps left. That's almost a full third or 2/3 of this race.
Incredible run from that driver, and we'll pull up the graphic here in a second before we talk to him. In fact, let's go ahead and do it now while we have the opportunity. Came into this race, let's see, not even on, or no, he is in the graphic. He came in third in points after a top 3. I said earlier I thought he was going for back-to-back wins. That's not the case. He and Calabro finished right behind Josh Parrish a month ago. Parrish not here this evening, but Calabro and Brooks both were. I think it's safe to say that Justin Brooks will leave Stafford with the points lead. And what a day it was for him. He's going to park it down there in victory lane. Very much deserved, as we mentioned. A big race win for that 33 camp.
Absolutely. What a great execution to be able to pull this off today, and just pure domination. That's all you can really say. 1 lap short of 2/3 of the entire distance led. Pure domination.
Well, aside from the fact that we went to extra distance.
That is true, actually.
Well, we'll take a look back and, pull up our unofficial race results after it's all said and done. Justin Brooks with the race win, about a half second over Grant Brown. Michael Wiseman there in third. I really thought that the 74 would have something for those guys, but he didn't, unfortunately. I'm glad we talked to him. I thought he was going to be a little more, confident. I really thought he had something, but ends up staying in third place. Justin Crow ends up beating Mueller to the line. Sylvia there in 6th. Still, I think, rallied back from a really stressful day for that one car. Carpenter there in 7th. You see the rest of the top 10 on your screen. A couple of drivers way out of it by the end. We had some big incidents across the course of the day.
That we did. Sean Urich and Kyle Adams and Bradley Stefan 11th, 12th, and 13th. Dylan Calabro 60 laps down after having such a strong run today. Alex Coffey right behind him. Ty Dennis, Jacob Alexander, Deegan Smith, and Chris Story all the way down. 228 laps down at the end of the day. That's almost the full race distance.
It is the full race distance. Remember, he was DQ'd.
That is true. DQ for being involved in 3 incidents. Then Brett McCoy, full race distance as well. He did not start this race tonight. And then we had one other driver who did not start the race tonight for a full 21 cars. But still, even then with the 19 cars we had on track, great racing here tonight.
And first up, we're going to grab driver 33, which will be Justin Brooks. Behind the wheel, just incredible qualifying effort from the get-go. Qualified on pole, of course, got inverted to 12th position, drove through the field with haste. And Justin, you're here talking to us at the end of the race. First up after the race, 149 laps led. That's a big day. Should put you first in the points. Clearly the car felt good. What can you tell us about the rest of the race?
Yeah, like I said, the car is pretty good. It was a little snug after pitting and taking right sides only, especially when the track cooled down. But the first time we did, the car was on a rail. A little snug there at the end, but it was still fast, as you saw. But besides that, it was pretty hectic. Got involved in the first lap crash. Guys in front of me, I don't know what they were doing, but got ran over. Got involved in another wreck. Missed a few other ones. Just tried to keep my nose clean the most as I could. I mean, I had 30 seconds of damage. I don't know how much that affected me, but it wasn't that bad as far as I could tell. But besides that, like I said, it was really fun, especially when we started getting the long green flag runs. That was a lot of fun.
It came down to a late restart, a green-white checkered even. Were you worried at all about Wiseman on those tires?
No, not worried at all. I was just riding up front, honestly, right before that caution. I seen him coming up in third, and he was running just a hair bit faster than me, but I was just trying to save just a little bit in case something like that happened, because I was listening on Discord and some of the other drivers talking. It sounded like there was about to be an imminent yellow the last 20 laps. So I was just trying to save a little bit, leave a little bit in the bank just in case we had that situation, and we did, and pulled off there in the end, actually going 100%. So it was a smart decision on my end, I think.
I'd have to agree. 2 races in, you're already the only driver with 2 top 3s. It's a little difficult with races a month apart, but how do you feel for the rest of the summer series?
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm going to be at every single race, but I mean, the races I do show up, I'm sure I'll definitely be in contention. Hopefully, I know some of the tracks on the schedule I'm really looking forward to. Stafford was one of my favorites, obviously, and like I said, looking forward to the rest I do show up for. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun like tonight was.
Well, best of luck the rest of the summer. Congratulations, a big win this evening.
Thank you, guys.
Justin Brooks finishes, first. That's a pretty big day for sure. We'll move on down to position number 2. Zach, it's Grant Brown.
Yeah, Grant Brown putting on a great performance here tonight. One of the drivers we see in the Sarah Super Series, so it's nice to see him stepping into a late model stock car. But Grant, you ran a great race tonight. You put yourself in a good position, but you just didn't have enough to be able to go down and take on Justin Brooks. Tell us how your race went.
It was pretty good. I knew Justin would probably be the car to beat, and we both started fairly deep, so I figured it would be whoever got out front faster. Luckily, I was able to get to the front a little quicker than him, but long run pace, he definitely had me about a tenth a lap better. So 78 was kind of driving unsatisfactory to many, so I kind of let Brooks go deal with him. Then I got around 78, and we just kind of trained 1-2 and tried to work together to both stay up there.
Well, you still put on one heck of a performance tonight. Do you think 4 tires overall would have made a difference compared to everyone taking 2 right side tires, or do you think 2 right side tires compared to 4 was the way to go?
For me, I was definitely a little snug. The last probably 75 or so. I added a little too much fuel compared to what Justin and a couple others had added, so that definitely hurt me with center rotation. So 4 tires probably wouldn't have worked for me in my case. Probably would have made me even more tight. So I think the 2 tire strategy was the right call.
Well, it still worked out for you. You got home with a 2nd place finish tonight, and hopefully you should be able to gain some solid points as well. So good job tonight, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's your 2nd place finisher, Grant Brown. And Andrew, I believe you've got the other Justin ready on the line to talk to us for the third place finish.
That we do. Since we spoke with Mike Weissman a little earlier, we're going to call an audible here and talk to drivers who finished positions 1, 2, and 4 in Justin Crow. The 86 car fought back up to a 4th place finish, which is pretty dang respectable considering you started 19th. What was your race like?
The car felt good, man. I felt really stout through 1 and 2. I couldn't really get 3 and 4 figured out all night. Sometimes it would, hook up and feel really good coming out of 4. Other times going into 3, it felt like I was sliding the fronts just a little bit, and I didn't think I had any shot, at Brooks there. It's hard to beat Justin Brooks anywhere, but Stafford is one of his wheelhouse tracks. So I was just trying to get all of I could out of it. Coming out of one of those late cautions after we took tires, I kind of got hung out on the top a little bit and really had to push to get some track position back, and really wore the right rear there. So I was just trying to hang on to all I could, but overall can't complain about 4th place finish after where I started. So
Absolutely, and you had a picture perfect Crow Sim Shots machine until the end. What happened there with the 78 car?
Man, just late race, going for it. I mean, he kind of brushed the wall. I got a little bit of a run, and I decided to go ahead and try to take that late move into 1. I thought I might get a little bit more room than I did, but I mean, I don't really blame him for holding it down there, and I don't think he can really blame me for trying to make the move. Just kind of a racing deal.
Well, hey, that's a good way to sum it up, a racing deal there towards the end, short track racing, if you will. Justin, good to talk to you. Once again, congrats on a really solid run. Hopefully, I don't know, we'll be talking to you the rest of the season, but hopefully the guys at Podium are talking to you the rest of the season.
Yeah, thanks for the broadcast, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Justin Crow with a 4th place finish effort there at the end, Zach. A really solid day across the board for a lot of drivers, a really difficult day across the board for others.
Yeah, so many ups and downs here tonight. So many takeaways really for Stafford. 2 races in now to their season. They've got 5 to go. And so many bad days really for drivers who were up there in the points. Dylan Calabro, who's only 4 points back from Josh Parrish. This was a night that he could use to capitalize. But at the same time, same thing for Justin Brooks. He was able to capitalize as well. And I'm sure he'll be walking out of here the points leader after tonight. So still 5 races to go. Still time to make it up. Hopefully they'll be able to find a way to get themselves back up there inside the championship fight.
And of course, we were the full in this evening from Podium Esports. A big thank you to them and the series for having us here this evening. But they are back in action on the first Monday of June, which I believe will be June 3rd. They'll go to New Hampshire Motor Speedway for 100 laps, then Richmond, Milwaukee, North Wilkesboro, and Langley for 300 laps in October for their finale. In the meantime, Zach, our next 3 broadcasts are as follows. We head out to Lanier with the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series for their championship crowning event. Then the following week, we follow them out to North Wilkesboro Speedway, not so far from where we are here in North Carolina, for the 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour's latest installment in their 2024 campaign. And then on Monday, not Sunday, Monday, May 27th, we head out to Charlotte Motor Speedway with the Icon Cup Series. So a lot of races in the South coming up after we were in Dover not so long ago, then Kansas yesterday, now Stafford, a lot of races in the North, then transitioning down South. And then, you know what, if we talk about other Icon races we have coming up, we're going to be racing at Gateway and Sonoma right after. We even have some GT3 races coming up with a new installment of the North American Racing League GT3 series later on in June. So a lot of really cool racing coming up. It's just a little spread out here in May, but that's okay. A little more time for us to kind of rest a little bit and get ready for a busy summer ahead. Thanks for watching here at Pit Stop TV. It has been a pleasure as always. Zach, thanks for being here this evening. Want to give a nod as well to our partners with the series. Excuse me. Of course, gotta go back through. Spartamax.net, CB Designs, Crow Sim Shots, Molly's Custom Silver, Hot Shots Photography, of course, Podium Esports and Whiplash Simcams for having us here this evening. Yeah, just a really good night of racing here at Stafford. I know it kind of took a little bit to get going once we got those green flag laps and these guys got themselves in gear. Really fun race by the end. And if you even look at the race info here at the end, 12 cautions. At one point going into halfway, we had 9. So they definitely got things sorted out from there. Plenty of lead changes to go around. Again, you can find us next on Thursday evening later this week. That was the wrong graphic. Here we go. This will be the right graphic. A big thank you to these partners, bottom side of the screen as well. That's it for us, though, from Stafford. Again, Thursday for us. Otherwise, you'll catch these guys back in action in nearly a month's time. June 3rd, catch it on Podium Esports. A thank you to Podium, Ryan Bauer, all of those guys for having us here. Thank you to Kyle Adams and the series for having us here. We'll see y'all next time. Again, Thursday evening, Sarah Super Series at Linear.